Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your Ireland's number one Spurs.
It's in the background.
Oh, yes, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to log out and come back in once.
It's in the background.
Oh, yes, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to log out and come back in once.
I'm still hearing it. Does somebody have their thing on in the background? Somebody have YouTube on in the background?
I'm going to log out and come back in once.
I'm still hearing it. Is some
guys are logging a different system there to get this. Yeah, go on.
Oh, are we back now? I think we're back now. No, I think we're sorted now. Yeah, happy days. So yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's number one Spurs fan, bringing you the preview and everything else you need to know for tomorrow's London derby, massive Premier League clash, Tottenham versus Chelsea. And tonight we are joined by co-host Jack Kanicki, Shane from Paxton Road, aka Sam, and of course Philip, a Harris Army legend who people love hearing right now. But look, we'll start with Jack. Jack, how are you, my man?
Keeping well, Dave. Keeping well. Fresh off the stats with Jack. Maybe feeling a bit too informed maybe for this at the moment. So maybe I can dumb myself down with some optimistic, positive answers for everything. But I am going to be matched by the very intelligent Philip and Shane, though. So maybe I'm going to have to be up for it for this one because I know they're going to be giving the good answers to these very difficult questions, Dave.
No, 100%. Look, I got the best around to come on and give you a run for your money, Jack. So look, we'll go to Philip. Philip, my man, how are you keeping?
I'm great. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Bit with trepidation, I think, but I'm looking forward to it.
Now, look, by the time we finish this show, you'll be thinking we can win 5-0. That's for sure. But look, of course, we're joined by Shane from Paxton Road TV. Shane, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm not looking forward to the game as Philip is tomorrow, but it's one of those things which are, let's get there. Let's see what we can do and hopefully get the 3 points. Hopefully.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And of course, the title of the show, guys, is it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. So, guys, of course, that applies to a derby game for me. Sometimes you're not the biggest or the best, but it all depends, how much you badly want it. And sometimes that can win over on the day. And that's what I'm sticking with for this one. But look, we'll welcome some of the Harris Army in. We have Arms. He says, I think Gio gets overlooked a lot. He needs a run of games and can be effective box-to-box in Nuno's system. For sure, he definitely can. Arms says, everywhere we go, it's the Tottenham boys. Big up, Arms. He was loving stats with Jack, injecting it into his veins. He absolutely loves it. Dark Sun G says, come on, you Spurs. I hope for a 2-0 win or a 2-1 win tomorrow. Please, Reggie and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg score tomorrow. Of course, Dark Sun G, I definitely have a sneaky suspicion he might bang one. I just have it in my heart, lad, and your heart doesn't lie to you sometimes. Brian says, let's show some passion and desire tomorrow and result will come. Come on, you Spurs. I couldn't agree more, my man. Big yourself up. We also have Peter McDonough says, Romero, Emerson, Dyer and Reguilon back 4 for tomorrow. Yeah, 100%, man. But look, we'll get into it. I'm going to ask the boys what system they prefer tomorrow. I know Jack's on this back 5 wave, so let's see what the panel have to say. We have Adam. He says, well, lads, long time no see. Big up, Adam. I hope things are well, my man. William McKenzie down in New Zealand. Hope things are good over there, brother. I hope you're keeping well. We have Tor Thomason says, any of you guys doing a watch-along tomorrow? Of course, the Irish Hotspur. We are delivering. Some of you fans have been asking, so we will be doing a watch-along for the game tomorrow and every other game until Matt Hayes is back in the business. So big yourself up, my man. Cody Mack says, Big Sam in the house, Mr. Positivity. Absolutely love it. He's definitely one of the foot soldiers in the positivity cult, Cody. Big yourself up. Kieran, he says, Shane or Sam? Both. But look, Shane, I'll let you... Look, Shane is actually his real name. That's what I call him by. But look, he's Sam is your initials, am I correct?
Sam Spurs for life. Sam is my initial, so yes, that's right.
So there you are, Kieran. I'm glad we got that one cleared up early because we always end up having to address it at some stage. Maybe I just start calling him Sam and make it easier.
Yeah, we should be like everyone else, Dave. Honestly, we should just be like everyone else. Just just try to be in the mold like everyone else.
You're confusing the Harris Army. They're just getting confused. They don't know what to do. Call me now.
They don't know what's going on, lad. They haven't confused. They're sitting there. Who's Shane? You know what I mean? And they're like, it's Sam. You know, they're scratching the screens on their phone. They have to get new screen protectors and everything. Big up, Kieran. We have James Fitzgerald. Hi, David. I support Liverpool, so come on, you Spurs. Yeah, big up, James. Really appreciate that, my man. Good luck. I'd say you're absolutely delighted. I definitely want us winning tomorrow. Anyway, that's for sure. Ricky V at THSC says, evening all. The man Sam is in the house. Big up. We have William Pretty. He says, Pridey, or however you now pronounce it. Let me know, my man. He says, what's the best team we can put out for a style of play? Big up, William. We'll definitely get into that. Don't worry. All the questions you have, we'll have answered by the end of the show. Aaron Dove says, evening all. And big congrats to Ricky V at THFC for his victory last night. I don't know what that. Oh, yeah, on Talk and Ball game show. I think that's what's that off. Gaguma says, hello again. Big up, Gaguma. Good to see you in. MS said, we need fans fully singing loud voices and loud whistles. Come on, you Spurs. I have a question on that as well. Don't worry about that. Derek Hutchinson says, let's kick that Chelsea butt. Come on, you Spurs. Big up. And, of course, we have Big Boss Man back in the building. Big up, Big Boss Man. Absolutely good to see you back in the building.
Hope you're keeping well, Boss Man. Hope you're keeping well, Boss Man. And as well, Boss Man, hopefully you can give a bit of that, positivity, cult, kind of vibes in the chat right now, because, we did have the stats with Jack where we had to break down maybe, how Chelsea can hurt us, and whatnot. But, for the preview, it's a bit about, what, Shane and Philip have to say. But maybe for me, it's going to be only positive vibes about how we can maybe win this one. So Big Boss Man, hopefully you're all right with that. And also absolute legend, Dave.
Yeah, no, big up, Big Boss Man. We have Aaron Dove in the building as well. Big up, Aaron Dove. And Golden Cock says, big up, guys, on the double show. Let's hope that tomorrow the team show the same commitment. Big yourself up. Really appreciate it. And James Fitzgerald says, I'm the tie of Tottenham fans. Yeah, look, I don't mind. Call me what you want. Everyone else does. I'm big enough. I've got big enough shoulders to take every name you want to call me, my man. I don't mind. I know I'm going to be joking with you. But yeah, I'll take Ty. Ty, he's doing well for himself, so I'll take that comparison. Fair enough. But look, I will get into it, and then we'll start passing some questions out here, guys. But of course, we are at home tomorrow at that magnificent, beautiful Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the 62,850 people that we fit into it. I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely rocking. And it's a 4:30 p.m. kickoff, which is good because Tottenham never really do good on an early kickoff, especially on a Sunday. So the fact that it's 4:30, they should be absolutely raring to go. Of course, like the last two games, if the referee is bribed, I'm going to give you his name now so that you can actually get in contact with him and blame him for everything he does wrong. His name is Paul Tierney. So make sure you get onto him if things go wrong tomorrow with decisions. You guys can watch the game on Fraud Sports. Or you and the guys across the pond can actually watch it on NBCSN. So don't worry, I've got you covered there. But if you don't want to watch any of them and you want to watch the best duo in the business, well, second best duo in the business, I'd say we are Tottenham TV probably first. You can watch the game with us here from 4:20, 10 minutes before kickoff, and enjoy the game with us. Do what so many do: turn off the absolute shocking commentary and put on myself and Jack for some real analysis. And also, we join me on the pre-match pump-up over on We Are Tottenham TV from 3 p.m., where it's all about you guys. You guys come on and have your say. I get you pumped up, you get me pumped up. That's the way it works. So make sure you join me over there. Team news is Lo Celso, Sanchez, and Romero, they are all set to return. They should have flown into the country today. And by my God, they better be ready for tomorrow, especially after being out in Croatia for a week. I hope they weren't down on the beaches. I hope they were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. But look, the fact that they did maybe go away, maybe tells me that maybe they probably weren't training. But we'll wait and see. Of course, Dyer and Son, look, apparently they're making positive progress in their, injury returns. We don't know how really anything further from Nuno's any of these press conferences, really. We're always in the dark, really, to be honest with you. But apparently they have been seen back in training. How intensity it's been, I'm not sure. But apparently they have been seen back in training. Of course, no updates on Lucas or Bergwijn. They will be assessed tomorrow ahead of the game. And of course, the one player you can take that will definitely be out is manhandler Japhet Tanganga. He is out, of course, with suspensions after, gripping up Wilfried Zaha and basically putting him in a jail cell for the night. So absolutely love that. For Chelsea, Christian Pulisic, he is out with an ankle injury. So, that's him out. And then Kante is expected to return to the Chelsea lineup. Not sure whether he is going to start or whether he is going to come off the bench. That's up to Thomas Tuchel and how fit he really is.
Yep.
But look, that is everything you guys need to know.
Well covered.
Well covered, I have to say, and I'm in top form today. I hope I delivered that expertly. But look, we have 2 super chats to get to, and then I'm going to start hounding these guys for some answers to the questions that I want answered. It's a bit of a role reversal here today for Jack, so it's going to be hard for him. He loves dishing out the questions, but today it's my turn. Dark Sun G says, guys, do you think we will see Easy Pass, which is Winks, Catastrophe, which is Davies, and Mr. Oscar, which is Doherty, tomorrow, starting or bench? Or will Nuno use youth in their place? Son, please start tomorrow. Well, Philip, look, we'll pass this one to you, my man.
Well, I don't think a game against Chelsea is a game to be blooding the youths.
But what about a game for Catastrophe or Easy Pass?
No. I mean, unless the injury situation is pathetically bad, that we have to play them. No, keep them, leave them on the bench, leave them on the coach, leave them back at the training ground, but just don't put them in the first 11. These games against Chelsea, this, in my opinion, there's more needle and spite in the Chelsea derby than there is in the Arsenal one.
Battle of the Bridge.
Comes back to the Battle of Stamford Bridge there in 2017 or 16. So, to me, the Chelsea game is a spiteful one. It can get very nasty. The crowd are going to be a huge influence tomorrow, and they need to get behind the team because it's going to be tough tomorrow. It's going to be extremely tough. But then again, we played Manchester City first game of the season, and I don't think anybody predicted the Spurs win. And look what happened.
Yeah.
So let's if they can keep up the intensity that they showed against Man City. It's dropped a bit in the last couple of matches, which have been very disappointing. But if they can't get it back up again for Chelsea, then forget about it.
Well, look, we're only 12 minutes in and we already have Philip pumped up. That's exactly what we wanted. Come on, Philip. I love to hear it. Big up. But look, Dark Sun G, for me, look, if Easy Pass is in the lineup, we ain't winning the game. It's that simple. Catastrophe, like I said, I think you're going to have to deal with him at least being on the bench. And look, Mr. Oscar, again, I think we're going to have to deal with him being on the bench. Look, will Nuno use youths in their place? I'm not 100% sure. I do think you'll see Scarlett and Candy on the bench, maybe Niall John. I think that's as much youths as you might see on the bench, depending on the how many players we do actually have out injured. As we know, Nuno hasn't really given us any more information on that. And of course, we all want Son to start tomorrow, man. I think it's crucial to a positive result. He does start. But big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support. And Jack MS says, is Son fit and will he play? Will Romero and Sanchez be centre-backs? Can we sack Nuno if he doesn't play Ndombele? What would you say to MS, Jack?
We're not entirely sure on Sonny's status at the moment. I will say, like David even highlighted earlier, Nuno keeps us plenty in the dark on it. It's actually quite clever, even the way that he does it. It's honestly, I don't even know. You have to pick your words carefully to not give as much information as he does. The way that he's able to give absolutely no insight at all onto any of the status of the players is actually quite impressive. He picks his words carefully. He's quite talented at it, if I may add, David. Honestly, I would say anybody that needs any lessons on how to deflect the media, anybody that needs any lessons on how to, turn away the attention from the media, I would say look at Nuno. It's honestly brilliant the way he does it. It's quite impressive. And so I would say in Sonny's status, I have no idea. MS, in terms of Romero and Sanchez, they should be available. They are technically available. They obviously just came back from Croatia and are plenty fit. It's just more or less like how much are they aware of the game plan, how much are they aware of the tactics, and whether Nuno will take that into account. So again, I actually at least see Sanchez playing. Romero, I think, is a bit more of a toss-up, but at least can we sack Nuno if he doesn't play Ndombele? You're trying to test me here, MS, because my love for Ndombele or my love for Tanguy, I would say probably I would be sacked for how much I would play Tanguy. I think that would be, if I were in Nuno's case, I'd probably be playing Tanguy too much, especially when Tanguy probably wouldn't be able to make 50 minutes or 60 minutes. I'd probably still be playing him. So if I were in Nuno's shoes, I probably would have been sacked before now. So that's all my answer is. And I don't think you should be sacked for not playing Tanguy, especially since we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But at the same time, Tanguy's Instagram posts maybe suggest today that there's probably some sort of sense of like connection between him and Nuno. The fact that he even posted on Instagram about starting, it didn't actually seem that backhanded. It actually just seemed like, he's getting back into the shape of things. He's getting on Nuno's side. So it seems like maybe Nuno might play him, in some shape or form, either starting or maybe coming on the 60th or 70th minute. That's all I can say to you, MS.
No, 100%. Big up, MS. Really appreciate the support, my man. Really do appreciate it. Guys, make sure you do smash a like on the stream. Make sure you are smashing a subscribe on the channel if you are guys new to it. Look, make sure you get your answers in the comment section to all our questions. We will bring them up. Look, we know it's a big, bad world out there. Sometimes, everyone counts on every little penny. Don't worry about that. I know that. And I will guarantee you, I will get everybody's comment up on screen at least. Sometimes it gets really hot, heavy, and sweaty in here, guys. The comments get out of control. It's hard to keep up. Get your super chats in, guys. It's like when you go for a massage. You want that little bit extra. You want that really happy ending out your massage. You just pay for that little bit extra. So, guys, don't be afraid to get your super chat in and skip that queue, guys. It is a great way to show your support from me, Jack, on the channel as well, guys. And, of course, you can see a lot of it does go back into the channel with the stats with Jack and everything else like that, guys. So, look, let's get into it. Enough of my voice and my ugly mug. Let's pass it over to Shane. Let's get Shane involved in here. Shane, we're about to kick off. So do you believe that our 4-4-3 is strong enough or tactically, sound enough to beat Chelsea? Or should we match them up and go with a 5 at the back?
Okay. The 4-3-3 would depend on the availability of our strongest 11. If we've got a strongest 11 out, I would probably hasten towards a 4-3-3 just for the fact that, it just gives Chelsea maybe a little bit to think of. I don't think we're going to have our strongest 11 out tomorrow. The players that have been away, Romero, Sanchez, Lo Celso, they wouldn't have had time to have any sort of shape practice, integration into team, as just Jack was saying earlier. I think we're going to probably match them up. And if we're going to match them up, do you want to go into any sort of like team, or are we going to do that a bit later on? I don't know.
No, go into it.
Okay.
Go deep.
So I would match up with them because Chelsea have this 3-4 kind of like 2-1 system. Very much they've got the Havertz and Ziyech on one side of Lukaku. Both of those players can come into the midfield area, flood that midfield, but they can also support the wide players in Alonso and Reece because both those players give Chelsea the width. So they're very, very fluid in their system. Nuno is known for playing a back three. So if that's his strongest way of playing, let's play a back three, given the fact that I don't think Bergwijn's going to play. I don't think Son's going to play. Obviously, Japhet Tanganga's already out. So I would go with the right back as being Emerson Royal. I'd go the left back as being Reguilon. And I'd go with the 3 centre-backs as being, even though they haven't been here, I would still play Sanchez, Romero, and then I would play Rodon as well. That way, at least you've got someone who has played. The other two, and people say, they haven't been around, they might not be fit. Well, we've played players that have not really been around and not been fit. Harry Kane always comes back into the team when he's not fit. I know he's one of our best players. Emerson Royal the other day came into the starting 11, had only a few days training. So the fact that the players haven't had a chance to have any shape practice, I don't think really matters. It's all about the level of effort. If we treat it like a cup game and we put that level of effort in, we might be able to get a positive result from it. I just think the approach is going to have to be much of we're going to have to get at them like it was a League Cup semi-final, whatever that would be. And so I would match them up in that midfield area. I would play Ndombele. I'd play Højbjerg and Skip. I would play Ndombele, and I'd probably have, Hill and Kane. So, I'd have Hill, Ndombele behind. I'd have Højbjerg and Skip behind them. The 2 wide players being Emerson and Reguilon, and the 3 centre-backs, as I've mentioned before. I think that's as balanced as you're going to get with the players that we've got out. But it might all change if Son was available. That would be the dictating factor for me.
Say if Son is available, Shane, is the only change maybe you might make to that is maybe dropping out Hill and bringing in Son maybe?
100%. If he does not, as Philip was saying earlier, if he plays Winks over Ndombele, I don't know if I want to watch tomorrow, because it's just, we haven't got enough ability in the team in midfield. If we've got them, just go through the Chelsea names. You know, they've got so much quality and players that are not even going to probably even make the bench, or make the start 11 that they got to bring on. So we have to match quality with quality. I do think that Ndombele is a big game player, so I do think he raises his game. Again, I've always said, if you've got a player that has deficiencies in certain areas but has much more proficiencies in other areas, play to his strengths. So play him just in front of those other two and allow him more free roll to be able to link play up, dictate how we can create that ball, getting that ball into those areas. When we saw that approach in the Rennes game, when he had that like a little 1-2 with Kane, that build, some of the stuff that he did is absolutely fantastic. Now, a lot of people say he's a playground player, so you know he's only going to do what he wants to do when the ball's around him. But so what? If he's doing the things that when the ball's around him that are that good, give him the ball. I'd rather see him do the things when the ball's around him than Winks playing 90 minutes just running around playing sideways. It doesn't make any sense. Get your best players on the pitch and get the best out of them by playing them in positions where you can get the best out of them. That's Nuno's job. That's what he has to do tomorrow.
No, look, absolutely. Wow. Great answer. Philip, maybe would you like to follow up on that?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say there, Sam, if they ever have a thing at Spurs manager for a day, I think your quid's in to get the job.
Really, though, yeah.
I mean, that team you've picked, it's identical to the one that I would pick. Okay, if Son is fit, Hill drops out. But you know, it's the team we need to play against Chelsea. We can't be too expansive. We cannot they've got quality in areas that we might be lacking a little bit tomorrow, just a little bit. So, as you're right, treat it like a cup tie. Treat it like it's the second leg of a League Cup final, and we're level after the first one. You know, just go at them as best we can, obviously, because. The worst thing that can happen tomorrow is Chelsea to score an early goal against us.
Oh, no, and just as you said that, Philip, just can you imagine how the crowd would react as well?
Exactly.
If we are quite negative and they score first, that's going to be so hard for him. If the level of effort is there from the start and players are flying around, throwing in tackles, just similar to the Battle of Bridge, but maybe just bring it down a notch, the crowd's going to be up for it. And once the crowd's up, you can keep them for a longer period of time than if you haven't got them at the start. It's really difficult to get them back if you don't start well. Really
and
is.
Also, the mood in the crowd transmits itself to the players on the pitch. If the crowd is down on everything that happens, the players they're going to respond the wrong way. But if the crowd is the 12th man tomorrow, that could be a huge factor in our favor. If they get behind the team and stay behind the team.
Facts.
No, 100%. And Jack, same question to you. Any follow-ups as well on what the boys were saying?
The 3-4-2-1 matching them, what that would be maybe the way that I would do it. Originally, I kind of said, you know, I probably would go with kind of a version of it where it's actually Sonny and Kane up top. But if Sonny isn't available, then I think I would actually, unfortunately, maybe omit somebody like Tanguy, and I would actually go for maybe Lucas, Harry Kane, and Hill up top. But again, like I said, if Sonny is available, then I would actually put Tanguy just slightly in front of Pierre and Skippy, like maybe said before by Shane. So it's kind of two different ways, and it's really all dependent on whether Sonny is available. If Sonny isn't available, I think I would actually throw in Lucas, just because, you know, Lucas can put in the effort. He puts in a lot of defensive work, as well as Brian Hill can put in lots of defensive effort. So I would say maybe they would make up for maybe the deficiencies of other players in that regard. But if Sonny is available, there's no better front two probably than Harry Kane and Sonny, in my opinion, especially if someone like Tanguy is right behind them. It's honestly probably world-class ability that you're talking about. So again, if Sonny is available, probably would go for Tanguy right behind them. If he's not, I actually would put in Lucas and Brian Hill instead.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, for me, I definitely think we should.
It seems like we're all back five, all back three. It seems like everybody just wants to match the system.
What I would say is, if we're playing at home and we had everybody available, I would maybe consider a different formation, just because of the fact that, you know, you want to try and get your best players into a system that you can play. And I think we've got more forwards than we have, better forwards than we have defenders, in my opinion. So try and get as many forward players on there. But the injuries, if we haven't got Lucas and we haven't got Son, we haven't got Bergwijn, we're deficient in them forward areas. So we're going to have to compensate. And the only way to compensate that is to maybe go for a back three, which you can still have enough attacking intent, depending on what the wing backs do. And again, Romero is a defender that likes to bring the ball forward, so he can actually move into midfield. So in terms of numbers, it's quite easy to change that formation if you wanted to, depending on how the game's going, and it's flexible as well. So Romero coming into that midfield area, you know, you can create overloads. If Lo Celso Reguilon bombs all the way down the left, you might have to then fill in position. So it really does depend on how the game is played and how much of the ball we're going to have. I think we're going to be quite a lot on the back foot. So we are probably going to have to play a bit more of a counter-attacking style. But let's be, as Philip said, let's just treat it like a cup tie and just throw tackles in there. Get the crowd staying with us through the very first minute. If they score, the crowd will be with you if you've made the effort. If we're playing poorly and then they score, it's going to be a really tough day for the lads.
Oh, well,
one thing I can say about Ndombele, I think in every player's career, there's a match that defines their moment that they arrived at their club. And I'm just hoping tomorrow is going to be his day. He's had a few false dawns. He's had a few flashes of brilliance over the 2 seasons, but nothing consistent. Now, can you imagine a reaction tomorrow if he comes on against Chelsea, plays the game of his life, and we win the match or get a result in the match? Look at the confidence that's going to give the guy for the rest of the season. So, you know, we can only hope. We need a bit of luck. I mean, the injury situation over the last few weeks has been incredibly bad. Every time, everywhere you turn, like you know my feelings on the international break. It's hateful, and this season was worse. We came back with how many injuries? You know, injuries and defections, basically.
Yeah, about 7.
You know, so, we didn't even get some players back from international. That's how bad the international break's been for us. We didn't even get players back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I can only hope that the boys that have been in Croatia, the Spurs did send out a fitness coach out to them, and that they're ready physically wise anyway to step up tomorrow. They mightn't have the time for the big long team talks or anything like that, but they should know what's up ahead of them tomorrow, and they should be ready and up for it. And they owe the Spurs fans after their antics over the last couple of weeks.
No, 100%, and that's a crucial point, Philip. You know that these guys coming back in, no matter what part they play tomorrow, they better be giving it their all and they better be in shape, that's for sure, because if not, Spurs fans will be very, very quick to turn on them and get on their back because it's not acceptable. But look, for me, I definitely would go with a 5 across the pack, 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs. The reason being, I do think, for me, a couple of reasons is I think we will need the 3 centre-backs to deal with Romelu Lukaku, but not only defensively, but going forward, it means you can get Romero to come out on the ball. Frees up like Romero to maybe come out with the ball like we've seen against the Packers, the Ferreira game. If Sanchez is playing, you have him with the passing options as well, where he's passing that he was doing before he went. Look, in midfield, you can get Højbjerg on the ball, but I think the most important one is actually having a body in and around Kane, whether it be a Son, a Hill, or a Lucas. Because, look, for me, well, I've been really looking into this last few days, and I think with Harry Kane, looking back on it, his best time under Pochettino, where he really came to fruition, he had Dele Alli moving off him, which created a lot of space for Harry Kane, which means he was able to get the time on the ball to turn, beat a player, put in a shot from distance, or even, make stuff happen, get the ball out wide and get into the box. And I think we've lacked that the last few games. I really do believe we lacked that the last few games. When the ball's been gone up to Kane, there's nobody in and around him. There's nothing he can do. It's him against 2 centre-halves. And, usually it's not even a clipped-in ball either. It's just one that's absolutely ballooned up to him. So I do think it would be crucial to maybe have a Son or a Hill or a Lucas, whoever it be, in and around Harry Kane. Or even running off Harry Kane if he is going to drop deep and be our outlet up front. But look, that's what I would go with. But enough of me. Kuva99 says the positive about Winks being named in the starting 11 is that we may get to see David and Jack thrashing their rooms on live stream. Yeah, look, there is a very high percentage of that. Everyone knows how much Harry Winks irritates me as a football player. I'll be honest with you, I don't think he is a football player, to be honest with you. I think he should maybe be doing a bit of show jumping or something like that. It's more up his alley, less physical, a bit less dangerous for him. Look, for me, I'm just fed up with the guy. And look, I'm going to keep saying it. Every time he plays, we just don't win the game. We either draw and look shit or else we just lose and look shit. So, no more of this guy in the team anymore. If he plays, it's game over before it even happens. I'm sorry to say that, and it actually kills me and pains me to say that as a Spurs fan. But when it comes to this guy, I'm not being delusional because he just lets us down time and time again. And that's all I'm going to say on it. But there's a very high chance that's going to happen. But I have got, an extra prescription of blood pressure tablets this week. So, it should be kept down to a minimal. I did say to the doctor, maybe up the dosage on them just in case he plays because it is a hard one to take. So, look, hopefully he doesn't play tomorrow because, look, I have the computer here and everything else. So I don't want to be breaking that. And then I'll be out of action for a few weeks. And then I'll be, having to get in contact with Harry Winks and telling me he owes me a new computer. It's his fault. So definitely don't want that to happen, Kuva. Jack, yourself?
I mean, for me personally, Dave, I actually think, Ben Davies or Mr. Catastrophe has actually caused me more pain than even Easy Pass has recently. I will admit, Mr. Catastrophe has been absolutely woeful. And I would say maybe Wolf Mallor actually probably, despite maybe being disappointed with the loss, probably would be quite happy to see me probably destroy, the very cheap and ugly paintings behind me in the room. And so Kuva 99 as well, Wolf Mallor might be actually quite happy to see us destroy our rooms, destroy our living rooms or kitchens, David, for this one. So, at least in my case, I know Wolf Mallor would be happy to see me take down some of these paintings behind me out of frustration. So Kuva 99 at the end of the day, if we do lose, could be actually good destruction, good remodel for all of our rooms that you're talking about.
No, 100%.
There is something with the team selection because, like I said, the positives that we probably have tomorrow from a tactical approach is one, Chelsea are not overly aggressive in their press, so they like to control the possession. They like very pulling pieces. They'll pull you around the pitch and then get into areas, and then they'll free up their fullbacks to get them, into positions where they can get one-on-ones or even just one-on-zeros because they've pulled so many players out of position. The other thing that's in our favour is obviously we're at home, so we're going to have the crowd behind us. We've got to make sure we use those two aspects.
Yeah.
If we have, let's say, someone like Ben, and I can see this happening, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I can see how they could think. Ben Davies could come in and be one of those centre-backs alongside Rodon, and then maybe he only plays one of Sanchez or Romero. That way being, potentially, he could put Davies to left back and maybe change the team that way. I wouldn't want to see Davies playing, don't get me wrong, but I can see that potentially happening if he doesn't want to throw all those players that have been in Croatia all into the game at the same time. But let's just be prepared for some surprises tomorrow. That's what I'm going to say with the team selection. I think we're going to be in for some surprises.
Do you know what, Shane? Look, I always thinking the night before a game, I can go to bed not having to worry about, some of them players playing tomorrow. And there's always someone on the stream that does it to me. And 100%. Congratulations, Shane. That's done it this week. Big yourself up, my man. Look, just quickly as well, what I will say on Harry Winks is I'll just come up with an idea, actually, to save me trash in my room. And look, I refuse to buy one. So if anyone wants to buy one and send it to me, fair enough. But Holly Agambar actually has a little Harry Winks stall. I now nicknamed the Harry Winks stress stall. So if someone wants to send me that, and every time you play shit, I can just beat it up. That would be very ideal and a good stress relief. David with the super chat says, last time out, he bullied Kante. Tanguy can do it. No, look, definitely. And look, David, that brings me into the next question, my man. So look, I'm going to leave this up here, and hopefully my next question will give you a good answer to your super chat, my man. And big up for the support. Really appreciate that, Kuva and David and everyone else. You want to support, just get the super chat in, guys. But look, I suppose we'll start with the biggest Tanguy apologist I know. And, Tanguy Cyrus apologist. But look, Jack, should we go back to a hard-working tree in midfield of a Højbjerg, a Skip, and an Ali? Or should we allow, for someone like a creative player like a Tanguy in there to do his thing when we do get the ball, so that when we do get the ball, we actually have ideas with it and we're not just giving it back? Because, look, there's an argument to say, some people would say a hard-working tree midfield, you need that in there tomorrow against Chelsea. But some would also counter that by saying, yeah, okay, it's all well and good, but what are you going to do when you have the ball? So, you have to allow for someone like a Tanguy in there. So, Jack, look, I know you're a big fan. Would you be starting Tanguy tomorrow?
I mean, personally, yes, but that's out of, right, David, my own bias. But maybe I might piggyback off of a really good comment made by Shane earlier, which is just the fact that with Tanguy, he actually offers you something that, practically no other player can. And sure, he has his deficiencies, like Shane was saying. Sure, you might have to cater towards him. But if you're catering towards world-class players, I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's what you should be doing regardless, especially in a game like Chelsea, where, and we broke it down earlier with stats with Jack, where, Chelsea are a team that really absolutely do not want you playing down the middle, especially since they only practically keep 2 midfielders in there. Usually it could be Jorginho and Kovacic, could be Kovacic and Conte. Regardless, there are only 2 midfielders in there, so they really do not want you playing through the middle. If you put somebody like Tanguy in there, somebody that can spin practically any defender in the world in a washing machine, you would think that he would be able to find that pass in behind, find that pass maybe to Harry Kane. Even the fact that we've really struggled at finding that connection between the midfield and the attack. Who better to do it probably than Tanguy in our squad? You probably would argue. Dele Alli has actually still to this day, he was last season despite how little he played, but so far this season, despite how great he's been, still the most dispossessed player in our team. By far, by a huge margin, the most dispossessed player. He does give up the ball plenty of times, and especially against Chelsea, you would think actually, Dave, regardless of how good maybe Dele Alli is defensively this season, he will give up the ball maybe right back to Chelsea. And when we do have the ball, we need to conserve it. We need to actually be very smart with it. We need to be able to break the lines, be able to maybe find that pass that only certain players in the squad can. Can Dele Alli do that? With what I've seen so far this season, I would say no, despite how great he's been defensively, despite how good he is from the box-to-box nature. I don't really think Dele Alli can find that pass. I don't think Dele Alli can really turn his defender in the way that Tanguy can. Even Dele Alli, when he drops deep, has even been quite poor, I would say. He's not even that good in that margin as well. And so Tanguy, all the things I've mentioned, can do all those things. So sure, we might not be with the ball very much, but then when we do have the ball, we have to be very smart with it, and we have to be very direct and capable with it. And I don't think Dele Alli is that guy. So personally, I would actually throw Tanguy in there just because of maybe piggybacking off of what Shane said. He's actually somebody that can offer something that no one else in the squad can. Sure, he has his deficiencies, but at the same time, those deficiencies are also strengths. And I would say that's exactly what Tanguy needs. And also maybe what Philip said, this is the opportunity for Tanguy maybe to win back over the fans. Of course, he wins me over millions of times over, but it is the time for him to win over other fans, to show him and show other fans, what he can provide and how he can hurt maybe big teams like Chelsea. He is maybe more of a big game player anyways, so I think he's absolutely crucial for this personally.
And Philip, would you concur?
Yeah, I'd play him. Yeah, I'm just thinking too. Now this might maybe sound a bit flippant, but I think this is a carbon neutral game tomorrow at White Hart Lane.
Yeah,
which means there's only vegetarian food. So you know what's coming next.
Abramovich or Tanguy wouldn't like that. Abramovich or Tanguy wouldn't like that. A carbon neutral game.
He's no McDonald's to snip off to at half time. So that's enough incentive to get through the game and then go and have one. No, seriously. No, I think the creativity has been lacking severely in our matches so far this season. So I think, as I said, tomorrow just could be the day when we realise what a player we have on our books. Let's hope he does it.
No, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And Shane, anything to add to this Tanguy debate?
I think I've said a lot about him already, but he has to play. He has to play. If we, one of the things about Chelsea is although they can dominate possession, it's not the way that they will always have to play. It's not like Man City. Man City, it's almost like an affront if they don't always have the ball. Chelsea, and Tuchel particularly, I don't think he's concerned about always having the ball. He's about how he can break down the opposition. So he's very tactical. He'll look and see how you play. Okay, so if you've got to flood your midfield, as I've mentioned before, the types of players that you've got, they can all come from the outside to come inwards to create almost like a 4 or 5 in that midfield area. If you then decide that you want to play wide, obviously their strengths are wide anyway, so they'll just push their players out wide. And Tuchel will try and manufacture ways to dismantle the opposition, and that's going to be the thing. But we will have the ball. I don't think it's going to be a complete domination of the ball. When we have the ball, we're going to have to use it wisely. We're going to have to make sure we pick our passes. My concern is that Harry Kane isn't the player that's going to be able to run in behind, because he doesn't do that. He likes to drop in deep. If we had Son playing, there's a massive opportunity for Harry Kane to drop in, the ball over the top, and then you would get him going one-on-one with someone like Christensen or Rudiger. And I would love that, because those two players, although have improved very much in the last few months under Tuchel, they're still, you wouldn't say they're top-notch players. They have got something in them that, potentially a mistake, potentially a world-class striker around them in the likes of Kane and Son would cause them more problems than, I don't know, like a Ivan Toney, although he's a very good player. But there's going to be opportunities for us. It's just how we maintain the ball and what we do with the ball. So you're going to have players like Tonge who can do things with the ball. Harry Winks, no.
No,
I
100%.
wonder, is there a bit of a cat and mouse going on here with Son? Is all this lack of information coming back a smoke screen?
I hope so.
He might actually be fit for tomorrow.
I hope so, Philip. But if he doesn't play tomorrow, I think he's out for a while, personally.
Yeah, that's good. Also, good point.
I couldn't agree more. Well, look, Shane, keeping the hot potato with you at the minute. Look, Romelu Lukaku, he's a world-class striker, and a lot of people, tipping him to be the signing that, delivers Chelsea the league title. So, look, of course, he is the focal point of their attack. Absolutely everything comes through him going forward. So, Shane, how would you stop someone like Romelu Lukaku tomorrow?
With great difficulty. He's the type of player he doesn't have a single way of playing, which is his best way.
Right.
With someone like Jamie Vardy, he's always going to be wanting to run in behind. So you kind of set your team up like that. You might play a little bit deeper. With Rom, he can drop short. He can be that player that picks up the ball. If you allow him to do that and turn, he's got better now, as I've seen him from his playing over in Italy, to now be able to pass that ball on to someone like a Havertz or a Ziyech or somebody who's going to have the ability to then take the ball on. So he's built his game. He can also run channels. He can, as I said, he's very, very good in the air. He's very strong physically. So there's going to be a really, really difficult task to stop him. That's possibly why, if you're having a back three, as long as players pass him on, like I said, if he's going to maybe play off one of the centre backs, they've got him. Somebody else knows that they're going to have to fill in if he then makes that run in behind. If he then drops into the midfield area, potentially, someone may have to track him just into midfield, depending on the system we play. It's going to be a tough ask against Romelu Lukaku, because I think he's one of the most improved forwards in world football over the last year. And his goal scoring over this since the season started, has obviously shown that he has that capability to just be able to do anything with the ball. So, yeah, very difficult task, but you're probably just going to have to shackle him as best as possible, get tight, and then have a spare defender to then maybe compensate for that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Wow, great answer. 100%. Sorry, Dave. That was a good answer about Romelu. I will say, it brought a little bit of respect to his name, especially because I think that comparing him to Jamie Vardy, it was a really good example of how people can set up, or even Jamie Vardy, very difficult striker to handle, like you said, but somebody that you can still set up for, whereas Lukaku, it's not as easy, or it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Jack, Philip, have you anything you'd like to add, onto Shane's answer there before we get into the really nitty-gritty, what the people really want to hear about Harry Kane, Nuno, and everything else?
Yeah, I think it's important for one reason for Romero to be involved tomorrow. Romero would have played against Lukaku last season, and from what I think he's handled him fairly well. Plus, it would be a real be sparks flying when those two got together. I mean, they're two aggressive players. So yeah, I would hope that Romero was in there. Okay, if he doesn't play, at least he should be able to pass on some tips to the guys that are playing, how to handle him, what he did against him in Italy last year to keep him quiet, But Lukaku now, I reluctantly say he's reluctant admiration for the guy. I watched him quite a lot last season for Inter, he was lethal, absolutely lethal. And Chelsea got themselves a hell of a striker there. Let's hope it's a bad day tomorrow, though.
No, 100%. They definitely do. They got themselves a real good striker there, I have to say. Jack, just if you have anything to come in on that, do you?
I might just repeat some stats with Jack. Stats there. Just, he has the most carries into the 18 for Chelsea. He has 4 carries into the 18. That's very dangerous. Maybe even touching on what Shane said, he's actually very good with his back to goal. He's actually even able to improve even his ability at taking on players. The fact that he has, again, the most carries into the opposition 18 is quite impressive. He has the most touches in the opponent's 18 than any other player in the squad as well. And maybe like Shane was discussing, his ability to drop deep and just be that focal man for linking up the attack. He's also the most targeted player in terms of the forward passes or the progressive passes in the team as well. So, his link up ability, his hold up play has improved dramatically in Italy. It's, it's not maybe what we saw with Manchester United, where it kind of seemed to have bounced off him at times and, they wouldn't be able to link it. It's now at Inter. He's honestly improved every asset of his game, you might say. and he's almost become practically maybe the household kind of world-class strikers that we all kind of think of when we do think of the best strikers in the world. So there's not an easy way to to handle him. I would say the only thing he might be lucky with is if he had maybe like Romero and Tanganga going up against him. I would think maybe those would be two guys that could probably handle the physical battle against him, especially the way that Tanganga almost threw Zaha out of the stadium when he was being handled by in that little scuffle. You would think that maybe Lukaku's just a bit lucky that Japet manhandler is in there to put in a few naughty tackles on him, I would say. But yeah, David, I think like Shane was saying, there are a lot of ways that Lukaku can hurt us. It's just maybe the best way to handle him is just to be able to prevent those passes to the best of our ability, where he just holds up his player, where he does that incredible stiff arm or hold, where he's able to just receive the ball into feet, and then someone like Havertz, Mount, Ziyech then takes the ball off of him, and they move from there. But if we're able to prevent that pass into his feet right in front of our 18, which he loves to do, he did against Arsenal a million times, just sitting right in front of their 18 and just holding up the ball there. If we can prevent that pass to the best of our ability, it's easier said than done. But if we can't prevent that pass, I think we might have a bit of an easier day.
And that's where, if you have the back three, if you can anticipate that one of those centre backs can almost do that job. So if he then drops in, you follow him, they can see that, anticipate that pass. Because if you've only got two midfielders there, it's very difficult for the two midfielders to shift across to do that. So that's where the extra centre back, having a back three, right, you're seeing that ball come in. If you see it once or twice, can you get there? Romero might get there early. He might make a few fouls, and that's probably likely what's going to happen. But if you continue to stop that ball from just being played into him, it's going to make him think of something else. He might then have to think about running in behind. He might have to think about, okay, I can't get this. I might go in, drop off into one of the other areas, maybe in a inside forward area. So yeah, stopping that service is going to be important, as you said, Dave.
No, it definitely is 100%. And look, I agree with you. I was going to say that as well. Having that extra centre back in there, it does allow him to, to drop in front of Romelu Lukaku and stop that passing, kind of shield it in a way. But also, it allows for one of the other centre backs to also drop in behind him if the ball is coming in high to him and he's looking for a flick on for maybe Mount or Havertz in behind, or Ziyech, whoever runs off him. So I definitely think three at the back is definitely a good way to stop him. And look, I'd be pinning my hopes on Romero. Look, I know Romelu Lukaku played against him twice last season and didn't get any change out of him, didn't score as far as I'm aware. So I do think Romero and his aggressiveness is key. And look, it could play out in our favour, because if Romero can anticipate them passes, it means Romero's on the ball and he will bound forward with it. He will drive forward with it. So it could work out in our favour. But look, Kaguma with a super sticker, and I think it's just one of them big thumbs up ones.
I think it's one of them big thumbs up. That's what I was just looking up, David. Just sorry about that. Yeah, I was just making sure what Kaguma sent, and yeah, it's just one of this big thumbs up. I'm pretty sure it was Joe, Philip, and Shane's answer earlier on Lukaku, as well as your hosting ability, Dave. No,
I appreciate it. Big up, Kaguma. Really appreciate the support. Top woman. And Faz Radfar says we beat Chelsea 5-3 when we're in our worst state on paper. Look, Philip, I seen you nodding your head as soon as that came up. What
that was some match. That was the start of 2015, I think, January 2015. That was a hell of a game. I mean, we absolutely blitzed. I don't think we've beaten Chelsea for about 300 years before that match. And it was just brilliant to watch us destroy Chelsea. Absolutely brilliant. And might be too much to hope for that scoreline tomorrow, but I'd take another streaky 1-0.
No,
100%. I don't think I've ever heard the crowd at White Hart Lane as loud as they were that particular night. It was just amazing. I think it was the first game in January. It was 1st of January or 2nd of January. Cold winter's night, just the sort of thing you need to warm the cockle to your heart, putting the 5 past the Blues.
No, absolutely love it. Well, there you are, Faz. Absolutely great knowledge, and hopefully, Philip brought back some good memories there. Absolutely love it. Philip, you should be a reporter or something, the way you describe things. Absolutely brilliant. But Faz, Kaguma, really appreciate the support. Everyone else that's watching right now, make sure you are, in the meantime, getting over and checking out Paxton Road TV, smashing that subscribe button. Of course, the guys are on the big push for 1K now, I believe, nearly there. So Harris Army, let's see how much closer we can get them. We will be dropping the link in the chat for you guys to get over there as well. Make sure you are smashing a like on this stream as well, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Big push for 5K. Also, flatcapeurotalk, the home of Jack Kanicki as well. Get over there and be smashing the subscribe button on that. And keep getting in the super chats, guys. It does help you skip to the queue, and we will stop exactly what we're talking about and get straight to your super chat. But look, moving on, guys, let's get into it with Harry Kane. Look, he has been poor the last few games. Of course, no touches in the Palace box there last weekend. But look, I suppose we'll go to Philip first on this one. Philip, what do you think is wrong with Harry Kane at the minute? Is it he's starting the season slow as we've come to expect from him over the years? Or, are you concerned by his performances?
Like, Harry went a number of Augusts without scoring. I think it's only a couple of seasons ago he actually managed to score a goal in August. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, he didn't have a great pre-season with all the controversy over the Man City debacle. He went away for a couple of weeks to Joe Lewis's island in the Bahamas. He came back. He missed a lot of the pre-season. He's only playing catch-up. Now, I thought that England, 3 matches for England, 2.5 matches for England, would have brought back his sharpness. It hadn't, really, because he was very poor against Palace. Now, to be honest, because of my internet problems, I didn't see the game against Rennes, but I think he lasted a half an hour or 50 minutes or 54 minutes in that.
I think one against Rennes, Philip, was more so to protect him from injury because Lucas and Bergwijn had already come off at that stage.
Yeah. Because I'm a bit out of touch on that one. He wouldn't be the quickest starter in the season. I've got a feeling that nobody could be unaffected by the amount of psychological stuff that was going on with him during the summer. Like, whether it was that idiot brother of his trying to manufacture the move or who was to blame or whoever, we'll probably never know that. But it's affected him in such a way that the Harry Kane that played against Palace last week wasn't the Harry Kane that finished the season against Leicester last season. He wasn't tracking back. He wasn't giving hell to the players around him for not doing similar. It seemed to me as if his mind just wasn't on the game. I'm hoping it's temporary. Like, if put it like this, if he turns up tomorrow and starts strolling around the pitch against Chelsea without really imposing himself on the game, then I think we really have something to worry about.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful he'll come out as the old Harry Kane tomorrow, because what better opportunity to do it in the game against one of your biggest London rivals, I mean, I'm concerned, but I'm hoping those concerns will be knocked to one side tomorrow.
No, 100%. And look, Jack, same question to you, my man.
I mean, in the case, I kind of agree with Philip. I mean, we haven't seen maybe what we've wanted from Harry Kane. He's either not maybe showing enough effort. Maybe it's that bit of ounce of, I don't know, like when we saw when he first came on against Watford, I believe it was, and as well as Wolves, and we were seeing, he kind of was trying to prove something either to the fans, to the home crowd, even, when he was coming on against Wolves, it was away from the fans, and he still was obviously showing a bit of that effort. And maybe since then in the Crystal Palace match, it really did seem like he was not into it. Even against Rennes, did not feel like he was really into it, despite that world-class ball. I feel like he played in behind for Lucas. He still kind of really did fade out of the game. And I am a bit concerned, kind of like Philip was saying, but the one difference I would say is maybe with someone like Romelu Lukaku, I would probably argue maybe lining up against him, somebody like even Chelsea lining up against him, you would think, like Philip is saying, that would be that kickstart for him to realize that he's going to have to play well here. He's going to have to turn it up. And hopefully he can put in something like a bit of a naughty tackle, at times to, help the boys as well. Maybe even especially if the referee, is a bit similar to what John Moss was doing against Crystal Palace. If he were to just say something to the referee, just to say, listen, you can't let my players get assaulted like this on the pitch, things like that. I would just say maybe then we would know we have still the same Harry Kane. But kind of like what Philip is saying here is, if we don't see that, if we kind of see him just strolling around like he maybe did last time against Rennes as well as Crystal Palace, I would be very concerned. We would have a problem on our hands for sure. But I would say I would love to be proven wrong, as well as I do think maybe if he is maybe utilized in the right way for this upcoming game, maybe that might be what motivates him. But also hopefully just Chelsea and Romelu Lukaku lining up against him would also be enough motivation.
No, absolutely love that answer, Jack. Big yourself up. And look, same to you, Sam. Are you concerned by the start of the season, and just think it's a normal slow Harry Kane start to the season and he will kick on?
I'm concerned. I'll give you my reasons. Whether we like it or not, Harry Kane is at Tottenham because he's been forced to stay. I don't think he wants to be there. It's clear to see he doesn't want to be there. Now, he's a professional footballer, and obviously he's going to play. He's going to do what he can. But if you wanted out of any job and you were forced to stay, you can never, I don't care who you are, I don't see how he can give 100% every single game. The other thing is, he hasn't really got anything to play for. Some
Right.
players, it might be, okay, I've got to play to keep my England place. He's England's captain. He's always going to be in the England squad. They're not going to say, well, you're not going to play Harry Kane because you're not doing. That's not going to happen. So Harry Kane is almost guaranteed to play for England. So what's his incentive to play? It may be a bit of enjoyment. Harry Kane's best stats usually come with playing with Son, and his enjoyment comes with playing with Son. Son brings an energy to the team that is enthusiastic. You know, you kind of see it when he plays. Everybody's got a little bit more of a
And he asks more of Kane.
And he asks more of Kane. And he does more for Kane to help with Kane's game. With Kane dropping in, Son making them runs in behind. That's why their stats were like they were last season. They both worked in tandem together and they enjoyed playing with each other together. So what we've got to get with Harry Kane is getting Son back into the team. I think that's very important for him going forward. But we've also got to, get him playing a little bit less of this almost midfield maestro that he thinks he is. Get into goal scoring opportunities. He didn't have a touch in the box against Crystal Palace, but look how many touches he had in his own half. Too many times he was in his own half. We should be further forward. Get that Harry Kane further forward, and maybe just get a scruffy goal. Get something where he's just going to knock one in the back of the net, and maybe that's going to be his motivation. Goals are going to be his motivation. Spurs, I don't think he's motivated to play for Spurs, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, I am concerned. Can we still see Harry Kane score 15, 20, 25 goals? Yes, of course you can, but it's going to be circumstances that are going to be required to do that. And I think he's going to have the players around him that's going to make him play to that. And also maybe it is going to be big games that he's really going to get himself up for.
Yeah, no, I hope it is. Look, I definitely hope this is the one that can kickstart it. Look, for me, there's worrying signs there. Look, you don't see him kind of berating players, demanding the ball. He's kind of just happy-go-lucky at the minute. Look, I hope maybe it is that he is, it's just a slow start to the season, but it is becoming concerning. But look, I also don't believe that the system is suited to Harry Kane yet. And look, that brings me on to my next question. And look, Sam, we'll throw it at you and work our way back. And look, for me, I think Nuno was planning for a season without Harry Kane, especially pre-season, especially against Man City and it did look that way. Of course, Harry Kane came out and made a statement. He's staying. Look, we all know what went down. City didn't offer up the money Levy wanted, and that was that. Kane thought he had a gentleman's agreement. Well, you never have one of them with Daniel Levy, that's for sure. But look, do you think maybe Nuno is struggling to actually fit him into his plans, Shane? And if that is the case, is it up to Nuno to cater the tactics around Harry Kane to get the best out of him and his goal-scoring abilities, or is it up to Harry Kane to fit into Nuno's tactics?
That's a very good question. Very good question. I think it's a bit of both, if I'm honest with you. And I know that's a bit of a sitting on the fence answer.
I think it is a bit of both, yeah.
It is definitely a bit of both. Harry Kane shouldn't be bigger than the manager at the club. But we all know the fact that he's been kept because he's been touted as being a £150 million player. He is literally Mr. Spurs. So it's very difficult for a manager of Nuno's experience without the trophies to be able to tell Harry Kane, you know what, don't do that, Harry Kane, do this. Jose had that ability to do that because his CV was as long as this, so he can say, yeah, do this. This is the reason why. Look at the forwards I've been able to get them scoring the goals. When you talk about the likes of Ibrahimovic and the rest of them, which have played under Jose. So he's used to massive, massive egos and personalities. Harry Kane, although not a massive ego in that sense of person, he's still a big player that needs to be, handled in a certain way. I think, as you rightly said, we were planning on no Harry Kane. I could see how they were playing with Son, and that was okay to me. You're always going to miss a player like Harry Kane because of his goals, but now we've got to find a way of getting the best out of him, just like what Jose did, but maybe in a different way. I think that's going to be, again, having the right players playing with him, but also maybe to get him doing less work in his own half, less work of this, I'm going to pick up this ball and I'm going to start spraying, because we all know that's what he does now. So if we know it, the opposition know it. Yeah. So find another way of playing.
No, absolutely great answer, I have to say. Look, I threw that one at you. I caught you off guard, but I have to say,
handled it.
Great answer. Great answer. But look, Jack, we'll get your answer as well, but maybe answer Dark Sun G's comment here as well, saying maybe we should use Kane as a super sub to motivate.
I'm going to answer Dark Sun G's right after this comment, but I was just going to say Shane kind of reminded me, or Sam reminded me of something here where even just sometimes, even with world-class strikers, no matter how good they are, dropping deep like Harry Kane and linking up play and pinging in balls and behind, Sam mentioned something about just being a striker. Sometimes it is just being in the box because you get lucky. You just get a chance that's just put right in front of you, that you just bury. And to be honest, Harry Kane hasn't put himself in those positions this season to do that. Last season, when we're probably even forgetting, despite how much he dropped deep, despite how many incredible goals he had last season, a lot of those goals still were kind of just sometimes lucky chances, just moments when, the ball was just perfect, where all he had to do was just nod it in, or times even when it's just a bit of a deflection. I think it was against Wolves or some team where we just got a goal of absolutely nothing. And he just was sitting there and it was just a deflection off a defender and he just absolutely roofed it into the top net. And it's just moments like that where that's why you are a striker. That's why you're in the box, because you're there just to put away those chances. And Harry Kane is potentially just forgetting that maybe to a degree, or maybe like Sam is possibly saying, he's just getting too distracted by having to link up play or things like that. And he just needs to realize that he needs to get out of this number 10 kind of almost like complex in his head, where sometimes you just need to be in the box just in case maybe that chance just come to you. You need to realize that as a striker, it's always about sometimes just being lucky. I mean, I would say even someone like Thomas Muller, there's a reason why, he has so many goals. That doesn't sometimes have to do with, his spectacular link up play. It just has to do with that guy just sometimes is in the right place at the right time just to put the ball in the back of the net. And even, certain strikers, they'll have a hat trick or even a brace just from tap-ins, just from lucky goals. So it is something that maybe Harry Kane has to remember. Going on a Dark Sun G though, now Dave, he has a really good point. He brought this up, I think, in Kaniki Answer Me, unless I'm wrong, Dave. He was saying how we maybe against a team like Chelsea, teams like Man City, where we are going to be without the ball, where maybe we might be dominated, it could be actually better to bring in Harry Kane in like the 60th, 70th minute, especially when we need him as a bit of that super sub, as a bit of that motivation. But also as well, in the beginning of the game, maybe when we are getting dominated, it is better just to have a bit more of a pace, a bit more of that ability just to have players that can just take the ball up the pitch with their own two legs. Players like potentially Sonny, players like potentially Lucas, Brian Hill, Tanguy, whoever it may be, Delhi even as well. And Harry Kane, unfortunately, isn't that guy. Harry Kane does struggle at being able to just get the ball up himself, up the pitch, he needs other players in order to do that. So it actually is an interesting call to probably say, have Harry Kane come on later, just to maybe even be that kind of I would say that bit of downer probably to Chelsea fans, especially if we were up 1-0, Dave, especially even if we needed a goal, just bringing on Harry Kane, would actually be a decent move. And yeah, maybe lining up with a similar lineup that we had against Man City. Of course, we don't have that full lineup available to us, but I do think Dark Sun G has a point here. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dark Sun G. I feel like you brought this up and Kaniki answered me last week and kind of agree with him at the same time. I do think it's a decent point.
No, just a couple of things. Okay, sorry, because that's some really good stuff. But two things about, or two players that I think Kane really has missed. One is obviously Son. We've talked about that when Son doesn't play. But the other one is Christian Eriksen, who we haven't replaced. When he was in and playing well, Christian Eriksen with the likes of Kane, really, you could almost telepathic certain because that was the creativity that Christian Eriksen brought, and Harry Kane didn't. We don't remember Harry Kane doing that much dropping in the midfield then. Nope. He's had to do it. He's been almost forced to do it. It worked well last season. Now he's almost seeing to himself, if I see a midfield of Højbjerg, Skip and Harry Winks, I'm going to have to do something here. So maybe it's that mindset that he's still in from last season because it worked and it's now thinking he has to do it now. Maybe change that mindset again back to when the Eriksen was in the team and, really got him playing well, playing what he needs to do, as he said, getting them goals in the box, in and around the box. That's why I want to see Harry Kane. Sorry.
Does he not trust his teammates, maybe, just quickly?
I don't think he does.
No, look, he definitely doesn't. We know
Tanguy doesn't trust Artie. We know that.
He doesn't trust his teammates.
Some of the shit around him, I don't blame him. Look, he doesn't trust the teammates to get him the ball. He doesn't trust the teammates to create chances for him. It's that simple. It's honest. But look, we have two super chats to get to here, and then we'll get Philip's answer on the whole thing. Gaguma says, Sam and Philip's insights and analysis are absolutely top-notch. Big up, Gaguma. Really appreciate it, and I know the lads do too. Anything you want to say to Gaguma, lads?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big up, Gaguma.
Absolute legend. Believe me, there's a reason we picked these panels, though, Gaguma. It's because Dave and I, we do see the talent, and we also know that we need to have the best discussions for very difficult questions like David has, given us today. So you can only pick the right panels, to answer these tough questions.
No, big up Kaguma, 100%, and big up Jack Hawk. We definitely picked these panels for a reason. Tottenham Tantrum says we need some playing to get the best out of Kane. Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Look, you know, they're both better in the team without each other, or with each other, sorry, than they are without each other. Look, Kane is definitely missing Son. Son brings Kane to a new level. You know, and like Shane was saying earlier on, it's just purely about the enjoyment factor. And with Son in the team, he knows Son can create chances for him as well. So, look, big up Dermot. Really appreciate the support, my man, and everyone else. Keep getting the support in, guys. Keep getting your questions in. Keep getting your comments in. We'll get straight to the super chat and we will discuss your opinions as well. But look, Philip, you know, what's your whole thing on the question there for, you know, that I was asking the boys about Harry Kane and, you know, is it up to him to fit into Nuno's tactics, or is it up to Nuno to just take tactics to get the best out of Harry Kane?
Well, I agree that Nuno probably thought he wouldn't have Harry this season, but God help us if we didn't. Nobody came in to replace him anyway. But anyway, no, I think they're professional enough and experienced enough. They have to meet somewhere halfway. I mean, Nuno knows he's got the best striker, one of the best strikers in the world in his book. So he's got to, you know, mold the tactics a little bit to suit that. And Harry has to adapt himself, you know. But one thing I will say, Harry at the moment, if I use the analogy again, how good would Ant be without Deck? Right?
That's quality. I like that one.
He's very successful. And I mean, Harry needs Son back beside him. That's my opinion. Those two are like Siamese twins. We've got to get them back in. Sooner or later, with Son and Kane in the one team, Spurs are going to do serious damage to some defense. But until that happens, until they can get their mojo back together again, we're struggling. We don't have the creativity. I mean, I see comments here about dropping Harry Kane back to do the Christian Eriksen role. Well, I mean, I suppose when you think about it, his passing range last season was in the Eriksen mold. I mean, look at the fact well, heard of to get the golden boot and the most assists. I mean, that will never happen again. You know, so I mean, Harry Kane is, for all his problems, and I put those problems down to his missed move to Manchester City, which has obviously hit him psychologically quite badly, and he will continue to do so until he gets the monkey off his back. And that's not going to happen until he gets a few goals in the bag in the league. He gets his buddy back along there beside him, and we start winning a few games. Now, you're right. He's probably looking back at some of the players behind him and says, what the hell am I doing here? Yeah. You know? But those guys hopefully will be in the dim and distant past as the season moves on. And we get the likes of Romero gelling in, the likes of Brian Hill coming along and hopefully providing the bullets for Harry to choose. And,
again, would you think Harry Kane would be dropping in so much if we had somebody like an Eriksen or maybe even Tanga if he was playing on that really advanced sort of like creative player? Harry Kane wouldn't want to be coming back because he'd want to be on the end of those balls. He has to work. Back,
yeah, when Harry Kane is 40 yards from goal, Harry Kane isn't scoring goals.
He's not doing anything. Chelsea would love him to be picking up that ball. Yeah. If I was Chelsea...
I hope tomorrow that Nuno tells Harry Kane, you see that, draw an imaginary line 25 yards from the Chelsea goal. I do not want to see you the other side of that. Unless you're in an offside position. Yeah. You know, keep him up as a striker. We need to have him up front, not when the ball comes in from some of the fullback and there's nobody there to meet it, which is going to happen if he's 40 yards back down the pitch.
Yeah. And he's not the quickest player in the world. So for him to make that recovery from being 40 yards away from goal to get there in a split couple of seconds, it's not going to happen. So again, these sort of things, they worked well last season because when he was doing that and playing them, Son was on the end of him. And it was vice versa. So Son was in that midfield area and Kane was on the end of him. He ain't got Son doing that. Kane's thinking, well, I'm going to have to pick up the ball, but then I'm going to have to get on the end of him. He can't do both.
Can I relay this thought to David? Maybe I just want David to respond to it, given he's a Harry Kane expert. Do you feel like maybe Shane is onto something here, or Sam's onto something here, where the loss of Eriksen, the loss of that true creative number 10, that true kind of genius, that Eriksen had? Do you think that's actually what maybe forced Harry Kane to drop deep and has forced Harry Kane to adjust his game so significantly, do you think, David, like Sam is maybe potentially alluding to?
No, 100%. Look, if you're Harry Kane, right, and you're looking either side at the minute and you're looking at Lucas and Bergwijn, you know them chances aren't coming. You know they're not. You have Son beside you. You know you're going to get 2 or 3 good chances a game, 100%. When he had Eriksen in the team, it freed up Harry Kane to make very intelligent runs off the shoulders of the centre-backs, running in behind, creating that option, which was also in return creating more space for Christian Eriksen and our midfield to play in. because Kane was stretching him, Son was stretching him, Dele Alli was also stretching him. So he had a lot of players to run off him. So that also allowed Harry Kane to drop deep. So in effect, he was able to kind of do what he wanted with the game. And it was all centered around him. And you could find him because we had different ways of playing him into the team. Whether it was like giving the ball to Eriksen or Son and getting Kane to get into the box, or whether it was Kane picking up the ball and turning and players running off him, which gave Kane a lot of space, which made him double the threat he is today. Right now, even last season, right? He had an amazing season last season. But let's not be fooled. He ain't replicating that this season. It's not happening.
No way.
But like the thing is, last season he was lucky because he had Son to thrive off. You know, if Kane was dropping deep, Son was running in behind. And this is very important. I'm going to keep saying this. Before Son was doing it, we had Dele Alli doing it when he was playing in that cam. He was running in behind Kane all the time. Almost as a second striker. So when you have Harry Kane in the team, you need to have players running off him. You need players to get up supporting him. But what we need to get back to, and I think what Nino does need to find is, and I think the solution isn't within the club. It's just about getting Ndombele to get focused. Because if you can get him in the midfield and you can get him to be dependable and reliable, you can go back to the Harry Kane that I was describing 2 minutes ago that everyone was getting a hard on over. Because that's the Harry Kane we want to see. You know, where we have all these different options. And that's where we'll get Harry Kane back to the very best. Even with England, he's not being utilised to the best of his ability. Nowhere near it. You know, and look, for me, I do think the likes of the transfer and everything else and being let down by Levy, and may I add, he should be allowed to be let down by Levy. I've been saying this for months. If us fans can be pissed off and let down by Levy, he has to deal with the fucker every day. Of course he's going to be. You know what I mean? And look, the thing for me is, look, it always comes about when Harry Kane is not performing. But look, I do think there is a lot. Look, I'm going to send him a personal message, and let me tell you why, right? Because he has the Premier League record he can grab this season. Beating Jimmy Greaves' record he can grab this season. Beating the England all-time goal scorer record he can grab this season. There's 3 personal accolades that will cement him in history for about another 20, 30 years till someone else like him comes around. You know, to go for this season. And in return, if he can get his mind and maybe even focus on them, then, you know, that's only going to help Tottenham because he's going to be banging in the goals, which in turn is good for us. We've already seen under Nuno we can keep 3 clean sheets. Now, I see a lot of, I see a lot of other people saying, you know, since Harry Kane has come into the team, you know, we've looked shit. You know, I want to go back to Son, Bergwijn and Lucas. But the thing is, what I say to you there is, you look at the last 2 games that Harry Kane has started, the Rennes game, the Palace game. We were very slow on the ball in midfield, very slow on the ball in defence, right? Now, when we were playing well, when we bet City, when we bet Wolves, and we were creating some chances, was we were turning the ball over quickly and getting it quick into the forward line. Yeah. But all of a sudden, the last 2 games, that stopped. So we simple solution is, you can fit Harry Kane into the way Nuno wants to play. But just go back to what you were doing for the first couple of games. Turn the ball over in midfield and getting quick ball to the forwards. Rather than, you know, being slow and laboured in midfield like we have been. We've seen it go from Skip to Højbjerg to Dele to Winks to Davies to Doherty and just rotating before them. Then teams are pressing us. We're kicking it long and we're expecting Harry Kane to compete with 2-3 defenders and try and hold it up with nobody around them. Sometimes I feel like he thinks he's in Nevada in the desert, Jack. Honestly, you know, there's no one around him for ages. You know, not even the water boy can get to him at times, you know, to keep him hydrated. Look, for me, I just think it is a simple solution. I think it's either getting quick ball to Harry Kane or getting Ndombele fit, focused and firing, getting him in there and getting back to the old Harry Kane.
There's not a lot in between Las Vegas and Reno, Dave. You're right. There's not a lot in between there. You know, it's just pure desert. You're probably right, Dave.
I don't think it is as massive an issue as we're making it out to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not backing them. I'm not backing them up here or defending them. There is definitely cause for concern, but it's just simple little tactical tweaks that we can make that will get the very best out of Harry Kane again.
So look, David, do you think that Nuno can convince Harry Kane to play that game? Because this is the problem I think is Nuno's going to have, is convincing Harry Kane. Because what's Harry Kane's motivation for being at Spurs apart from getting records? Because obviously we haven't won any trophies so far. That would be the ultimate goal. I think Harry Kane's realised with the players that we've got at the moment, that's going to be a tough task, but we could do it if we play in the right way. But how's Nuno going to convince Harry Kane with Nuno's CV? okay, Harry, I don't want you to do this. Now I want you to do this. Back to, I don't know how he's going to get him to do that. That's my problem.
Do you know what it is, Sam? Look, I get it, right? Harry Kane, he's world class. But I think one thing we can all say about him is he doesn't really have that much of an ego. You know what I mean? And I do think he's the sort of player that will put the team first and maybe sacrifice himself a little. Look, some people would argue maybe he's at the point in his career where he's not going to do that. He is going to be a bit more selfish. We've probably seen that with maybe him demanding to leave the club. But like the thing is, Harry Kane is in a situation now, right, where if he mopes around and doesn't play well or doesn't do what Nuno wants him to do, he's jeopardizing potential of moving the summer. Now, and the thing is, if that doesn't happen in January or the summer, he ain't getting a big move. It's just simple. He's not getting a big move out of Tottenham. So I think he owes it to himself as well to make sure he has a very good this season, to keep his name out there, to keep his price tag, and to keep the interest in him.
I almost think we've contradicted ourselves in saying that Harry Kane, maybe if he is looking out for himself, because if he was, then maybe he wouldn't be dropping into midfield. Maybe he would just be sitting in the 6-yard box anyway, in the 18-yard box, if he was being selfish. The fact that he is dropping into midfield to try and create shows me at least he wants to get the team playing in a certain way. The problem being is because he's doing that, nobody's doing his job, which is to score. So maybe he is being less selfish, or maybe he should get more selfish. That's a bit of contradiction in that sense.
You know what I'd like to say? I'd like to say is a repeat soon of the masterclass that Son and Kane produced against Southampton away last season, where Kane made 4 goals for Son and scored the other one. I mean, that match wrote the manual on how strikers play for each other, they interchange with each other. I mean, that it'll probably never get any better than that. That was probably the peak of their combinations. If we could see something like anything similar to that, we know then we'd have our Harry Kane back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I often look at the rerun of that match and just think, my God, I've never seen anything like it. Really, it was incredible.
No, 100%. And look, I think we'll end off the Harry Kane segment on that. Look, absolutely.
Well analyzed. Yeah, well analyzed.
I really enjoyed it. Great answers, everybody. Look, this is what this is about. Look, moving into the next one, and maybe we'll start with Jack on this. And it's look, Jack, I'll be honest with you. I am seeing a lot of disgruntled fans all over social media. You know, look, for me, it clearly to fans, you know, to us Spurs fans, it really does matter how we play, our style of football. You know, team. Even if we're shit, people want to see us go down fighting, playing the right way. You know, and a lot of them are very, very unhappy with the style of play at the minute. Even when we were winning, to be fair, you know, they were still all out saying, "Look, we're not happy with the style of play; it won't continue." And look, ultimately, the style of play is probably what cost Jose Mourinho his job. You know, especially with So, look, do you think that Nuno really has to kind of find a way of sorting this out in the style of play, you know, to kind of appease Spurs fans? And
it's even apparently what he was originally hired for, right? Was the idea of like promoting that attacking football. But then I might digress though and say, Dave, you know, against teams like Chelsea, like I think you should be focusing more on winning football instead of maybe, you know, aesthetically pleasing football against a team like Chelsea. At the end of the day, if you're trying to compete for top 4, top 6, it's really just how you finish. No, it's not about how many sexy goals you score, you know, how good the link up looks. You know, it really is just about where you finish at the end of the table. And to be honest, there are a lot of players, a lot of teams that probably would just take, you know, the points over really, you know, the beautiful goals, really. I mean, look at Diego Simeone. There haven't been too many rifts over there. And that's just because the cloak and dagger football over there is actually quite, you know, satisfactory to a lot of the players. And then as well, I think even Darius and I had an interesting kind of, I wouldn't say it was a debate, but yeah, on flatcapeurotalk, we spoke about it too, where, you know, there are a lot of people sometimes maybe forget that with maybe aesthetically pleasing or attacking football, Dave, that comes with a lot of risks. That comes with, you know, the chance of losing, kind of like Hasenhüttl has before. That comes with the chance of losing a 9-0. That comes with the chance of, you know, being absolutely found out by the other team. Whereas where you do go with maybe more of the winning football, maybe more of kind of the pragmatic football, which is acknowledging how the other team can hurt you. And then again, this might be a long answer, Dave, so I do apologize. But, you know, with pragmatic football, there seems to also be a negative connotation with pragmatic football when we kind of have to break down the definition of pragmatic. Pragmatic is just being conscious of how maybe someone else might be able to damage you, how someone else might be able to hurt you. And if you're thinking that that's crazy, if you're thinking that that's, a poor way of going about it, then I'm not too sure. I think that is a good way to go about it. It's good to acknowledge the other team's strengths. It's good to acknowledge, what other good players, the other team can do, really, how they can hurt you, how they can expose you. And to be honest, I really do like that part of Nuno. I did like that part of Jose as well. It's just being able to acknowledge, how you can how you can go about it. And then finally, again, what I would say with aesthetically pleasing football, with attacking football, you're fully capable of, winning 3-0, 4-0 in the best possible way. You're singing from the rooftops. And then the next week you get beat 3-1, you get beat 4-1 in the same manner and playing the same type of football. Attacking or aesthetically pleasing football is to a degree, a bit overconfident, or it can be a bit risky. It can actually, maybe it doesn't acknowledge how the other team might be able to expose you or hurt you. And that can obviously not be the best way to, finish in the top 6, in my opinion.
Sometimes it does depend on the club, though, because pragmatic football, if it's winning football, is usually pretty good. But pragmatic football, winning football, didn't work for Jose at Man United because they were winning stuff. They came second. They won the Europa at the time.
I
think they won, is it the FA Cup or League Cup? I know he won 3 trophies there. But that was pragmatic style. But Man United don't want that. They want to see
They still didn't like
attack,
it.
attack. That's what they want to see. Even if they lose 4-3, that's what they want to see. Newcastle, to a degree, in the day, were like that as well. Pragmatic football, I think, is what you should be setting up to do, because ultimately you don't win a league title if you lose games 4-3. You win a league title if you win each game 1-0, and it's boring, but you don't do it the other way around. So for me, he's got to show that he's got a flexibility, tactical flexibility, and an approach to games, as you quite rightly said, depending on the team. If we're playing Crystal Palace at home, and no disrespect, because obviously they beat us last week, but if you're playing Crystal Palace at home, we should be able to play attractive football and winning football. If you go away to Burnley, I would expect to see more pragmatism, but come away with a result. That's the balance.
It is, maybe that's the problem, though, Shane. I just want to bounce back and forth, not back and forth, but maybe just one more time with you here. Do you feel like that's maybe where I might be wrong, though, is just the fact that against teams like Chelsea, maybe the winning football, pragmatic football seems to be the winning formula. But then, like you're saying, it's really hard to convince somebody of that when you are supposed to be the better team against a team like Crystal Palace or whatnot. Again,
it does depend on the situation. So for us tomorrow, a win is everything. But that's based on the fact that we've just had a bit of a shaky week. If let's say we're flying in the table, I would expect the fans would want us to go out and attack, because that's what you would do. Tomorrow, if we won with one shot and we had 5% possession, I would still be running down the street screaming, great, we beat Chelsea. However, that won't be able to be carried on for the rest of the season, because that's not going to be. But for this one-off game against Chelsea, given the fact we're under so much pressure because of the injuries, because of the suspensions, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow doesn't matter, in my opinion. Might not be for some, but in my opinion.
I agree.
No, interesting. Look, Philip, anything you want to add to any of the boys' points there?
Yeah, we have I won't say a season-defining week coming up, but we have 3 games against Chelsea tomorrow, Nuno's old club on Wednesday, and some crowd from, I don't know where they're from, and for next weekend.
Oh, well done, Philip. You've only got to brought the mood up, haven't you? Well done.
Now, think about this. If we lose those 3 games, you can imagine the pressure, the social media outburst is going to be on that, right? We get a point. Say we get a point tomorrow and we beat Wolves, right? Then we go into the Arsenal game. Now, Arsenal on a bit of a revival at the minute. If you can class 2 wins as a revival, We beat Arsenal. Everybody is absolutely delighted again. Here we go. We've got our Spurs back.
Exactly.
My fear is that we don't get anything out of these 3 games, and then the pressure is going to be really, really strong on Nuno. He's only bedding in, for God's sake. He's had maybe 8-9 matches, competitive matches with the team since he came there. You don't go into a job like that and learn it overnight. I mean, he's come from a reasonably pedestrian mid-table team like Wolves, but nothing like the expectations that he has on him at the moment. I just fear now that the next week is going to be, I won't say make or break him, but it's going to form an opinion for a lot of fans that he might find hard to shake off if we don't do well over the next 7
and,
days.
and in the style of football. Like I said,
Exactly.
if he plays those games and loses, but he shows us that he's going to do everything he can, I think he's still got a bit more time. If he plays the way he played against Rennes and against Crystal Palace, and to some degree against, apart from Wolves and City, I guess the other teams that we played in the league, he's not going to have much time on his hands.
No.
So,
not really.
so guys, are we saying then that maybe potentially a loss against Chelsea, a loss against Arsenal, maybe one after that, could see him potentially lose his job?
But
I think it should. I think it should, to be honest.
The press is going to have a field day. You know, it's going to be 2-1 arms with the next manager to lose his job. You know where they have this betting thing against who's going to be the first one to get sacked.
Yeah,
he's going to be under pressure, and that's going to reflect badly on the. That pressure is going to spiral downwards into the dressing room.
Yeah, and on the back of that,
it's so important, you know.
And off the back of that, because of the way he conducts his press conferences, very prickly. He's not got the press on his side, so it's going to be very easy for them to turn. Someone like Klopp, he's got the press on his side. Look how much time Klopp bought last season for the fact when he lost them players and lost all those games at home at Anfield. Unreal. No other Liverpool manager's done that. But Klopp bought himself time because of how he approaches himself in his interviews. He gives that aura. He gives himself. Nuno's not giving himself in these interviews for me. So because of that,
I think he's
going to give himself a real problem.
To really understand Nuno's press conferences, I think you need to be a fan of cryptic crosswords.
No, yeah.
And he has Shane. He has the beard and he has the beautiful smile like Jurgen does, though. So how does he not do it?
What he's saying, So he needs to lighten up a wee bit, and I think the whole press image that we're getting at the minute needs to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah. Go back to your point, Jack.
Tell us what's wrong with Son. Tell us what's the story with the boys coming back from Croatia. I mean, there's been crickets on that over the last few days. Nothing.
Oh, so much so. I think when we look back at Jose's tenure, regardless of what a Jose happens, regardless of what pressure he's under, he comes out in his press interviews and he deals with the press in certain ways. He really makes sure he deals with it. Sometimes they don't always get what they want, but they get something. With Nuno, the problem is we're not getting anything. So we're going to have to make up. Is Son actually fit? Is Son injured for a long time? Are these players training? I don't know what's happening. And then when the results don't go your way, it's like, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's doing because he didn't know what was happening with these players. So that's what gets formed. He maybe has to just change his ways, because at Wolves, he was horrible. I used to see some of his, I thought he was boring. That's one of the main things I said when his appointment. If he doesn't change that way about him, he's going to have a problem when things don't go according to plan.
He's a bit of a rabbit in the headlight, really, isn't he? He seems to be scared to express himself properly.
Yeah, he does. Well, guys, look, hold on to this thought. I'll just get through a couple of soup chats, get a couple of comments up, and then I have another question off the back of that, just about Wolves and maybe struggling to adapt to Tottenham. But Tottenham Tantrum says we need to play the Tottenham way. In Nuno, we trust. Yeah, no, look, we do need to start playing a bit better football. I couldn't agree more. But look, I'm still in Nuno, we trust, for a little while longer anyway, that's for sure. Big up, Derek Gatanga. Big up, Jerry as well. ATX7 Gaming. Big up, Ams. Ellie Kakaras is in the house. She says if Kane is out of sorts, a little bulked up Dane along with our great Dane Højbjerg will come at Chelsea completely left side and catch Chelsea out. I do believe we can win if we snuff them out too. First of all, Ellie, big yourself up. I hope things are well. I hope you're sitting back enjoying some sort of Chinese, maybe a tub of Ben and Jerry's, a good glass of red wine, maybe, getting prepared for the match tomorrow. Maybe have a face mask on, like I like to do the day before a big game. It helps relax, clean the pores and everything.
Or a Chelsea shopping spree after the win, Dave. The Chelsea shopping spree, just rubbing, the shopping right in front of their face, No,
100%. But look, I hope you enjoy your day out at the game tomorrow, Eddie. Big yourself up. AG says, in Nuno you trust, I don't. We hired a nicer version of Jose. Yeah, look, that's, but look, at the end of the day, people didn't want Jose. He was too harsh. So, we can't have our cake and eat it, I suppose. Bryce, big up Bryce, says, bingo, Shane is spot on. Big yourself up, Bryce. Hope things are well. We have a super chat here from Sammy Player. Says, we say we want sexy football, but we should. But what would we prefer, guys, over 4 games? Win 4-3, draw 4-4, draw 3-3 and lose 3-2, or win 1-0, win 1-0, lose 1-0, lose 1-0, lose 2-0. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it'll come down to that. Look, where I'm at with this, Sammy, right, is look, the area was the major area we needed to improve this summer. I believe we improved it. Now, look, we were never going to get everything done in one window, but our biggest problem last year wasn't scoring goals. So we do have goals in the team with what we have, but it was conceding goals. Now, the thing is, if Nuno can just adapt the formation to be a bit more attacking, get players further forward, let them allow to get bodies in around Kane and get Kane integrated in, I think we will keep clean sheets. We've already proven that. So I do think, if we can just adapt the style of football but still keep the clean sheets, I think we're on to a winner. Look, me personally, I'm kind of with the boys on this. Look, I'd hate to be a Leeds fan. Winning 4-0 one week, and getting slapped 4-0 the next week. That would absolutely tear me up. I would much rather win consistently 1-0 or grind out a draw and maybe take the odd loss here or there, but still win most of them 1-0. Because like Shane says, at the end of the day, 1-0 when you did leagues. And the great Sir Alex Ferguson once said, defence wins your leagues as well. So, we have to take that into consideration. But Sammy, let me know what you would rather, my man. Let me know what you would rather. Jack, you want to come in on this?
I would just say another good example even of and it's very painful to watch, and this is why I don't like watching France play football, but Didier Deschamps forever has been doing this disgustingly ugly, winning side of football, and he has the best players in the world to choose from his France size, and he won the World Cup that way, as much as it was painful to watch, won the World Cup that way, with 1-0 wins over Albania, with a team like France, you would think that would be quite kind of embarrassing, but that's how they, were practically the best ranked team in the world, Dave. So again, it's painful to think about it in those type of terms, but even a team like France were still playing, kind of this very pragmatic, kind of just winning style football. And they had the best players in the world to choose from for an international tournament. And they still chose to play that way because they knew in order to win a tournament, that's probably what was needed. It wasn't about smacking the opponent 6-0, 7-0, like maybe Germany tries to do. They knew that in order to win tournaments, in order to be successful, sometimes it does require that bit of just, sacrificing aesthetic football, as I maybe like to say, over, maybe just winning football. And again, I really personally, when it comes to my club, all I really do care about at the end of the day is the 3 points. I do kind of just turn elsewhere if I want to watch aesthetically pleasing football. That's why I'm able to watch maybe other leagues and whatnot, but it's just, for me, it just shows there are a lot of examples of even teams like ours who have even much better players to choose from and much better squads to choose from, much better squad depth, and they even still play uglier football than we do. And I would say France is a good example of that.
You know what it is though, Jack? Sorry, Dave. Just move on. You know what it is though? When it's for the fans though. When you're paying nearly £100 a ticket and you're seeing that style of football, after a while it gets you, because no matter what we do, no matter what we say, football is still entertainment. When it comes to it, it's still an entertainment business as well as it's a business. So yeah, you're right in what you said, and I personally agree. But if you are someone that has, paying 80 quid for a ticket every single other week or every other week, after a while, you want to see something for your money. I would want to see that, but if you win the league at the end of it, maybe that's the balance. Maybe that is the balance.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Guys. But big up, Sammy. I really appreciate the support, and big yourself up. Greatly appreciate it. Everyone else, get your super chats in, guys. It is a great way to support me and Jack. Great way to get your questions in and get good answers, like Sammy has gotten here, guys. So big yourself up. Really, really do appreciate the support. Everyone else, make sure you keep smashing that like button. Keep smashing the subscribe button. Make sure you do. I'm going to drop Pax and Roll TV link in the chat here. Make sure you do get over and subscribe to that throughout the show. And in a while, I'll drop flatcapeurotalk as well. And make sure you get on that and check out the one in the show. But look, guys, we were talking about Nuno and Wolves and stuff like that. And look, we'll go to Philip on this one. Philip, do you think that maybe Nuno is struggling to adapt from the Wolves mentality where it was coming up into the Premier League and getting results at all costs, to now having to adapt to playing with style and winning with style?
Yeah, I think I could use the similarity. It's like going from driving a Ford Escort and then driving a Mercedes. It just takes a bit of getting used to. It's a totally different scenario. The expectations at Wolves, they came up as they were promoted, which he did a great job in getting them up. But the expectations were they were happy to be in the Premiership. Now, I don't think any Spurs fan is just happy to be in the Premiership. We want to be doing things. We want to be winning things. It hasn't happened over the last number of years. Now, as I said earlier, Nuno's only had a handful of competitive matches in charge. He's still learning the club. He's still learning the players he has. It'll take him a while to mold things into the way he wants it. And it's up to the players to, adapt. Like a lot of them down tools last season under Jose.
Yeah.
And there's no other way around that. They down tools, and they got the manager sacked, be it for right or wrong. Now, some of those players are still at the club. Some of them have moved on. The ones that are still there, we hope don't feature too much again. And the new players that have come in, Nuno obviously likes them because I'm sure he had a hidden input into which players we signed. And as I said, this is good. This is the most important week of the season coming up. It's probably a great job that he's gone back to his old club again. We've beaten them once already. And the way Wolves are going at the minute, they couldn't even get a goal against a 10-man Brentford team today. Wolves are not playing well. So we put out a reasonably strong team on Wednesday night. We'll make progress in another cup competition. That's progress. Get into it. Keep that. I know it's only the Carabao Cup or whatever they're calling it this season, but a cup's a cup, and let's keep going in as many competitions as we can. I don't know when. I think isn't the next match of the conference against that team. I can't even think of their name now. One of the
Nura, whatever they're called.
Nanu or something.
Yeah, it sounds like Pokemon. Yeah,
booster. Go into a team like that and absolutely leather them at home. And by then I'd say Nuno has had another 4 or 5 matches under his belt. He's got hopefully a few wins in that time, including one over Arsenal. And you imagine what that'll do to his psyche, the whole thing. If we say we go undefeated over the next week, that's huge, and that can only benefit the club for the rest of the season.
No, how many of those games do you think he's got to win realistically, and which ones would you want him to win of the next 3?
Well, obviously, want him to win them all, but I would like to just get a result against Chelsea. Okay, be it 1-1 or a win, right? Wolves. Again, I think we should win that game regardless. I think we should win that match anyway. But if we beat Arsenal next week, then I think Nuno will have won over a lot of his
a new lease of life again. Yeah.
Well, basically, But my worry, as I said earlier, was if we don't win any of these games, then the knives are going to be out from.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, Shane. A question to you now is: do you think the result tomorrow, depending on whatever the result, whether we get bet, whether we win or whatever, do you think it will show the kind of standard and where we are at as a squad and as a team?
Again, depending on who plays, because we can all, Nuno can, as we can hide behind the fact that he hasn't got all his players available. If the likes of Son don't play, Bergwijn don't play, Lucas don't play, let's say, Yaphet Tango's been one of our best players, isn't playing tomorrow, definitely. Dyer, let's say he doesn't play. That's 5 players that you could count on just one hand that would normally make the team, or certainly have made the first team thus far. So he has got a little bit of an excuse. Chelsea have been marching. They're European champions, and they are European champions for a reason. They've now added to that, as we've talked about Romelu Lukaku. They are going to be on a march for this league title, no matter what anybody says. They've done well so far this season, and I think for me it's more about the performance. It's how he performs against them. Because if you look at it on paper, even with our strongest 11, it's still going to be a tough game. We haven't won in 5 Premier League games against Chelsea, 3 of them being away and 2 of them being at home. 5. We've lost 4, drawn 1. Going back even further, I don't remember. I think I was at the Lane when we did beat them that time. I can't remember which game it was. But before that, we didn't beat Chelsea. It was always that joke, we never beat. So it's always going to be a tough time. It's just made even tougher the fact that we're in the position we're in. They've got Tuchel, they're European champions, and they've got Romelu Lukaku, and they're playing well. So if we come away with a performance, as Philip said, if we get a result, I think that'd be fantastic. But for me, if he lost tomorrow, we was to get through against Wolves, and let's say again put a performance in, we get a draw out of Arsenal, I think that buys him some more time. Even if we lost tomorrow. Not saying I want to, and not saying I want to draw with them lot next week, but it just gives him that. Well, I've got my players back now. That's when I think we have to be able to judge him.
I haven't heard that answer. That was a good answer, actually. We'll say, that's kind of the courageous answer. That was a courageous answer.
If the press get their knives into Nuno, they're not going to worry about the 5 injured players or the missing
players.
No,
they won't worry about that.
This is the thing. This is the problem. It's a bit unfair. If the likes of the Sun get their knife into you, it stays there. You know.
So he needs, and this is what Nuno needs to do. Nuno needs to almost use that to his advantage. You know what? One of my best players, Son, he's now out the team and he's going to be out for 4 weeks. Let us know that instead of, well, I'm not sure. You're going to have to reassess it. Tell people that Dyer's out for weeks because, and then we can give you, oh, well, you know what? He's trying his best. But at this moment in time, from what I've seen in the last couple of interviews, he hasn't given that. So I'm like, well, what if Son is a bit, well, I don't know now. Son does play some, you know, he doesn't help. He doesn't help. He's got to help himself as well.
Like we should be sitting here 12, 15, 16 hours before the most important match of the season with a clear idea of who's fit, who's available, and who's not.
I agree.
But we're not. Yeah. We're sitting there scratching ourselves, wondering, is such and such going to play? Is Lucas fit again? Is Bergwijn fit again? It's really, really poor. We should be kept in the loop. Really should be kept in the loop.
I couldn't agree more. And look, I have a quick question to throw at Jack. Then I have one more for the whole panel, and then we will be wrapping it up, guys. I told Shane a little white lie. I did say an hour and a half, but it's been such an intense discussion. Such a great discussion. Such a great panel. It's gone on a little longer. MS says, Irish Hotspur, how do you stay positive and interested with the current Spurs management and team performance? Do you not stop and think this is a club that takes 2 steps up and 1 step back? Yeah, I do stop and think that. I do. I believe me, I'm well versed in it, lad. I'm 29 years of age. You know what I mean? So I've been through it all, man. Well, not as much as Philip and Shane. I can't get that. I have been through, the Alan Sugar times and through the whole Levy tenure. But look, do you know what it is, man? Look, I can sit here and hate and grate on the club all I want, all day, every day. But look, there's other positives. There is positives to take aside from the negatives from obviously Daniel Levy and Enoch. There's still a lot of positives to take. We have some good players at the club. Why can't we sit here and worship them? We have a good stadium. Why can't we sit here and worship that? We have the best training facilities. Why can't we sit here and worship that? Look, for me, I'll be honest with you. I've actually gone to the point from complaining all the time, just to look, what's the solutions? More so you win and you learn. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be sitting here giving out all the time. So for me, I'm all about, what are the solutions now? It's just my new approach to things, and it's just how I deal with Tottenham Hotspur, MS. Big yourself up, my man. I hope you enjoyed the answer. Dark Sun G with the super chat says, if we draw with the Blues and beat the Gunners and get a draw or win against United in October, I'm pretty sure Nuno can keep his job with fans backing him. You know what? Look, it is a bit hard. Look, when you look at things, right, for me, I think this whole Nuno talk, in a way, it's a bit harsh because you look at the injuries, it's unforeseen, the amount of them, the 3 players out, that went on international duty, everything else. But at the same time, the style of play, you can't keep excusing it. So it is a tough one. But look, I do believe, he loses to Chelsea and he loses to Arsenal. It's going to be very, very hard to recover from that. I do believe, even with this player's faith in him as well. So for me, look, I definitely think we need. Look, even if you lose Chelsea and beat Arsenal, I think you'll be fine. Spurs fans maybe overlook a few things, and hopefully we get our players back. But yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't want to be questioning a manager this early into his tenure. So look, I'm going to wait for the next 3-4 games, sit back, see what pans out, and if it's utterly shit, then I might go. I might be a bit stronger in my opinions. But right now, look, it's a project, and I just want to see whether it is the injuries or whether it's his style of management. And I can't determine that yet until I see all of the players back in the squad and see what we see from there. What would you guys think? Maybe Shane, do you want to answer that?
I was just going to go on that point you said. I will judge him when he gets all these players back and then see what the style of football he plays, particularly at home. I want to see how he plays at home with all the squad, because we know we've got a fairly, I think he's attack loaded more so than defense loaded. Some people disagree because we haven't got another striker, but I still think we're more attack loaded than defense loaded. So when he's got all these players back, if his style of play is still very pragmatic and very safe and very much counter attack, particularly at home, then I think he has a problem going forward, because we may as well have said, why don't we keep Jose? Simple.
If we get through this injury crisis and say into October, November, and we're still playing defensive-minded football at home, I think the fans are going to vote with their feet. You're going to get a great atmosphere at the grounds for a couple of home matches, and that could sway Levy's mind.
And that's where Jose probably was able to get away with it, because he didn't have that last season, because we didn't have fans in the stadium. Nuno, unfortunately for him, is not going to have that luxury.
Yeah, I think we all thought that for some of the games last season, if the crowds had been there, the results could have been far worse, because they would have turned on the players.
Yeah,
in some of the home games.
Yeah,
but tomorrow the crowd have to play their part. They have a huge part to play tomorrow, and hopefully they do it. Really get behind that team.
100%. And Jack, maybe do you want to give Dark Sunji an answer, my man?
I'm just like Dark Sunji. I think that would get him, to a degree, a new lease of life. Hopefully, maybe take a bit of the pressure off of maybe some of the pressure and some of the hate that fans have already given Nuno as well. I would say maybe what Shane just said, if he had a full squad available to him and maybe we saw a different type of play, a different type of attack, different type of patterns and whatnot, I would actually definitely be fully behind him. And yeah, I think we should just wait till October. And especially if he were to get those results that I would say Dark Sunji is talking about, Dave, I'm pretty sure we would all be singing Magic, just like we were previously. So to be honest, I think it really is just dependent on how he maybe plays, like Shane was saying, to piggyback off of him yet again, just to say, I kind of agree with him. I think when he has the full squad available to him, we'll see how he does then. And I think that is well said. And also, I really do appreciate, also David's, very honest answer about, just how we kind of feel about the players and how we feel about the squad, even in our lowest. I think, the best way to go about things, no matter how many issues and negativity and problems that we can find in the institutions and stuff within Spurs, as long as we, with our negativity, at least provide solutions, to it, or at least offer solutions. Of course, we're not the ones that they're looking for the solutions, but even for your own mental sanity, at least offering some solutions to the negativity that sometimes Spurs fans provide, I think that would actually offer a lot of solitude to people, just because, we can be negative and, say that there's this wrong, there's this wrong, there's this wrong, but it's also good to maybe sometimes remind yourself, okay, but how would I actually fix this before I point the finger? And to be honest, that's how I like to go about life. But David, I think that was a very good, honest answer, as MS has just said here.
Yeah, well, look, MS enjoyed the answer. Look, for me, you know what it is. Look, even when things get going, just kind of you go back to remember why you fell in love with the club in the first place. You know what I mean? And you really discover your love for it, and you go again. Look, I get it. Look, we've had a hard 2 seasons, hard 3 seasons, whatever it is. We've all absolutely grated on the club. I just got to the point, I just can't hate on the club any longer. At the end of the day, look, I've said to the guys before we came on here, I'm a sad little loser. Tottenham is my only hobby. And that's the reality of it. It's the facts of it. Tottenham is the only thing I like in life. Bar my mother, obviously, and my father and my family, and potentially the missus. You know what I mean? But look, apart from that, look, I don't like Marvel, or anything else like that. Maybe a bit of Coronation Street. Coronation Street is decent. But look, for me, it's the only thing I have in life. And I just can't sit here and hate on it 24/7. And for me, I just try and find positives where I can. And if I can't find any positives, I'll grate on it, but I'll also look for solutions. And that's just my own personal way of getting through these tough times. Everyone has their own way of doing it. But look, for me, I still think there's plenty of positives, about the club. Even though there is some shit going on and some negatives and some dark times that we've endured, there's still definitely a lot of positives to come. At the end of the day, how can you not look at that and just absolutely fall back in love again straight away? How can you not? Honestly.
Even David, you saw my reaction today to Tanguy's Instagram post. It just shows. I mean, the delusion I was showing, today, it's just, I don't know. I think, in every way, like David just said, there's just special feelings that you just get every single time you think of the badge, even just think of the game tomorrow and whatnot. To be honest, it's just how you go about it. I understand, but yeah, I agree with David. It's just at a certain point, you can't hate on something you love that much. You just really can't. You just really can't.
And we fans are known as supporters as well. So support. That's you can't be a fan of the club and not support them. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you're going through times like this, this is why I don't like when we get these divisiveness, because I want Spurs to win every single match. I know they're not going to, but I still want them to win every single match. It feels like sometimes at times when it's like, well, to prove a point, well, see, they've lost now. That's proved my point. I can't get with that. I'd rather see us just go out and, if we do lose, we're going to lose. If things are not right, they're not right. But that's not going to help by me then just trying to break everything down and pull the whole club apart because we're not supporting our team. And that's what I want to do in my life.
I saw something today on Twitter, which I thought was very interesting. Some Spurs fan came across a Spurs fan zone on Twitter, and he went back over the posts, and over 3 years there wasn't one positive post. It was all negative. Even when we won games, there was negative.
Even top of
posts
the moon, right?
Yeah. You know, so there's too much of that about. You know, the people claim to be fans, but they're not supporting the club. They're jumping on every little thing they can to criticize.
Well, lads, that's why
we've got to be positive. We've got to get behind the club. I mean, the club, as David said there, David, I wouldn't fancy your chances tonight now after that last speech. You're going to get a bucket of water over your head when you finish this.
You know what it is, Philip? I actually made the
where you're coming from. It shows you are a true blue, a true Spurs fan. Fair dues to you.
No, look, I appreciate it. But look, first of all, I'll be all right. Look, I laid out the conditions before I got with her. Honestly, because I always said, right, look, bar your family, Spurs will be your longest love in life. You know, you can change your job, you can change the missus, you can even change your dog if you want to. You can change your car whenever you want. But one thing you cannot do is change your club, and you can't change the love for it either. And at the end of the day, look, at the end of the day, all I wanted to do on this YouTube thing was just talk about the club, but also spread a bit of love, spread a bit of joy, get everyone involved, spread memories, and you know what I mean. And look, at the end of the day, if you want positivity, that's where you come. Captain Positive, Mr. Captain of the Positivity Cult, that's me. So make sure you keep tuning in, guys, and don't worry, you know, we'll keep the love for the club. But at the end of the day, whenever you're getting pissed off, just look at that, kiss it, and it's all forgiven. That's all I have to do. But look, guys, you know what? Actually, wasn't planned, but it actually brings me perfectly on to the last question before we get your score predictions. And look, we'll start with you, Shane, and we'll work our way around. Now, this week, Nuno and Højbjerg have both stated and highlighted the importance of the fans on Sunday, getting behind the team, and they're indicating that the fans have a massive part to play this season, especially at home? Or are they acknowledging that maybe, there is a potential negative feeling from fans around the style of play in the last couple of results?
Interesting. Again, it's one of them answers which I think is going to have a bit of both.
Yeah,
the fact that we haven't had fans for last season, it made a massive difference. The downside to that is having fans in when you're not playing well or not playing the style of football that they like. They are going to get on your back. So again, it's maybe it's a shout out for both. Maybe it's they know that we're going to need a 12th man tomorrow, but also they don't want us to then turn against. As I said, if I was in, I wouldn't be one of those supporters who would do that. But you're going to get that. You know, they're booing at half time if somebody does something and you're down 2-0 or whatever. I don't see how that's going to help your team personally. It shows your disgust. I get all that, but when Harry Kane came back, we gave him a round of applause. People were happy to see him back. Had we started booing him, then again, how's that going to make him a better player? It's going to show, well, this is the reason why I want to be out of this sort of place. I've done everything for Spurs over the last X amount of years, and this is how they treat me. So again, I think it was probably an answer that was to appeal to both sides of things, to appeal to the fact that, yes, we haven't had fans in, and that could be a massive factor tomorrow, and I hope it is. But also, if we don't stick with each other and we don't collectively become Spurs, then there's going to be fragmentation, which is only going to get worse if results don't continue to go our way.
100%. Absolutely great answer. Philip, my man, same to you.
Yeah, I think that statement today by the Højbjerg and Nuno about the fans getting behind the club, it's a bit double-edged. Like, the Spurs social media team would have been monitoring what's been going on since the Palace game. They know that they'll sense there's a little bit of unrest going on there, and they're trying to nip it in the bud. They're trying to say, right, lads, come on, we're the biggest game of the season tomorrow. Go in there, no matter what happens, get behind the team, and the team will respond to you. And I'm hoping the fans listen to that, because as Sam said, the last thing you want to know tomorrow is if we're doing badly and the team's booed off at half time. That is toxic. That cannot be allowed to happen. They've got to show a bit of patience. Even if we're losing at half time, cheer them off as if we're winning 5-0. Give the boys a bit of incentive to come back out in the second half and play their hearts out. You're booed off at half time. You're nearly scared to come back on the pitch for the second half. And that we cannot have that. So I think it was done with a purpose. It wasn't just a throwaway remark. It was done to try and get people to start thinking about their actions tomorrow, and their actions have got to be positive, not negative.
Good answer.
Well said. Another great answer, Jack. You have two great answers to follow up with.
Those are hard to follow up.
And deliver.
I mean, I'll try to find a bit of nuance, but I think they found all the nuance there was. I'm practically scraping for it at this stage, Dave. But I would say maybe just to add to it, it is definitely similar to what Philip is saying. It's just, it is a detriment to the squad. Let's say, when we're coming up against a team that, let's be honest, we aren't expected necessarily to be the one to beat them, wholeheartedly. If any team is going to win this, by a huge margin, most people would predict Chelsea is going to win it by a huge margin. So that's just the stakes of it. And I think players like Højbjerg are understanding that, they need every little bit of ounce of energy and positivity that they can get. Especially players like Højbjerg absolutely feed off of that. And we know that Højbjerg can feed off of that, especially if he's feeling that from the crowd, David. There's probably not much stopping him from two-footing Tuchel on the sidelines when you think about it as well. And so you just think it's just what the players need, especially when maybe we are lacking a bit of quality, especially when we do have more injuries than the likes of Chelsea, when we don't even have the squad depth that Chelsea has. And even as well, some of the beautifully talented young players that we have, what type of message does that send to them when we see maybe players getting booed off at halftime, like Philip was sending, the Marcandis of the world, the Amoles of the world, the Scarlets of the world? They want us to, to be proud to play for the club. And if they're seeing the fans boo them off, if they're seeing the fans saying, listen, we want you to be playing beautiful football no matter what, even if you are winning 1-0, these kind of statements like that, it just maybe shows that, it's not the right message to a lot of people, especially the youngsters, you would think about it. So if you ask me, Dave, I think at Højbjerg, he really is actually speaking about the negativity, and maybe Nuno is speaking about the negativity that they've seen recently. Of course, they're obviously saying they need the home crowd behind them, but I think they're also saying, like, listen, if it's looking a bit bleak, let's say it goes 0-0 and we have 3% possession, we barely even touch the ball. I think that's what Højbjerg is saying, basically, is just we need the crowd behind us because that's what we need in order to win this game. If you tell me that, that if we would have won that Man City game without the crowd, I wouldn't be so sure. I really wouldn't be so sure. It really was the crowd that brought us a lot through that game. It was even those tackles by Skip and Højbjerg, to silence Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, Jaffet, and whatnot. That's exactly what they need. They need that sense of positivity, that sense of camaraderie, and that comes from the crowd first, I would say.
And that's how the game got to approach the game tomorrow. That same way they approach that City game has to be the approach tomorrow.
It's called the 12th man for a reason. It's not, it's not the 12th enemy. It's not like, it's not the, the fans are, at the end of the day, unless it is, 4-0 by halftime or something like that, the fans are supposed to be that, that positive lifting atmosphere. In fact, the fans are supposed to be that, kind of extra impact that you might say lift the teams to victory when they probably don't deserve it. Like, as well, sometimes the fans can be the difference between us nodding in the header and missing the header, as well.
And that's why this season, again, with fans in there, it is an advantage to be at your home. Last season, it was different. The better teams who could play on a big pitch, some teams will go to somewhere like Newcastle and be able to play them off the pitch on their big pitch. But when you've got, and I've lived in Newcastle, so I know what it's like. When you've got their 50,000 fans behind them, that's a very difficult place. No matter what level of players they have, it's always going to be a difficult place. So we have to do the same thing in the circumstances that we're in at the moment.
Right.
The South Stand was built for matches like tomorrow. Yeah. 17,000 capacity.
Correct.
Yeah. This is Borussia Dortmund Mark II. They get the noise out from that stand. That would scare the pants off any team, no matter how good they are.
It even scared John Terry off Wayne Bridges' wife, 100%. Philip, 100% agree with you there. No, look, what I will say to everybody before we end off and get everyone's score predictions, what I will say to everybody is look, it's times like this where they need us the most. In the stadium, even the people that are not at the stadium, supporting, cheering, singing, getting behind the boys. We built this stadium to make it an absolute horrible place for oppositions to come. So let's make it a nasty atmosphere. Every time they get on the ball, boo the living shit out of their shit blue jersey. Every time we're on the ball, absolutely get behind them, sing their names. Cheer them on with a bit of passion, with a bit of pride, and hopefully, they'll match that. And even if they don't, let's go again. North London Derby round the corner. One thing I'm not doing is sitting here this week being sandwiched between Arsenal and Chelsea fans and letting them laugh at us and dictate the way they usually have done. I'm not doing it. This week, I don't care. Do not give in to anything. Give it out to them loud and proud, even if we are lose. At the end of the day, we're Tottenham Hotspur. We win together and we lose together. So come on, lads. Let's get behind this fucking team. Let's do it. But look, Shane, before we end off, my man, give us your score prediction. And why don't you let everyone know exactly where they can find you? Because I know they love you.
Okay. So I did the preview show earlier, and I had to almost give 2 score predictions. So one was if we have everybody available, and let's say we've got as much as our best team out, I'm going to go for a sneaky 1-0 for Spurs. If it's going to be backs against the wall job, I'll be honest, I'll take a draw now. It'll be a 1-1 draw. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest, because I don't think that's necessarily how Chelsea really approach the games anyway. They're not like a City. They don't just go 3 and 4s and 5s. They get the win and they kind of play within themselves. They're kind of like, they're almost like a car that's just like watching the mileage sort of thing. So I really do think it's going to be a tight game. If we can get the first goal, we've got something to hold on to. I don't want to see Chelsea get the first goal, because they can control the tempo and they can control the game. We're going to have to be up against it. So 1-0, if we've got our team out, 1-1. Either way, let's get a result tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. And just the way you can find me, Paxton Road TV, you can find us obviously on YouTube. Look for us. It's always great coming on this channel, but like and subscribe to us if you can. We're almost at 1,000 now, so it'd be really good if we can get there in the next couple of weeks or whatever it would be. So please support us if you can. All these guys in the Harris Army, become part of the Paxton people as well. You can be on both, don't matter. So
exactly. No, look, the love can be shared. And look, I've already said to Darius Wednesday night, I'm going to be on a big drive now to get you to 1,000 subs, and I'm not going to stop until it happens. I actually do think it's a crime against humanity, to be honest with you, that it already hasn't happened. Yeah. I think you're a brilliant channel, and I look forward to doing more work with yourselves as well, Shane. So thanks very much for coming on, and everybody, please do get over and check out Paxton Road. Make sure you do. You're not going to regret it. I never send you to places that you'll regret. So trust me, get over there and smash that subscribe button. But look, Philip, a true Harris legend, a true, you really give great support behind the channel. We've pulled you from the fan shows into the debate life. I really enjoy having you on the panels. The Harris Army do too. So thank you very much for giving up your time tonight as well, my man. But look, what's your score prediction for tomorrow, Philip?
2-1 to Spurs. Harry Kane, both of them.
God, Philip, just lay it down like that. I like that. No messing about.
Problem. And Rudiger not to get racially abused during the game. Because every time he comes to our place, he seems to complain about something.
I absolutely love it. But look, Philip, maybe is there a Twitter or something anyone can follow you on if they do want to talk to you about Tottenham?
At Spurs 2212. That's the Twitter account.
And also, there's a new show coming out with Philip as well. Maybe Philip can touch on that, especially maybe recently, Philip, I talked about maybe a class, being taught here on Irish Hotspur. Is there a class that you'll be teaching on the Irish Hotspur as well?
We'll be putting on the gowns and mortars now. Ellie and myself doing a bit of, it's not a history show, but it's kind of digging back into the past about Spurs. A few little quirky things over the last 100 years or so. Some very interesting facts now that some people may not be aware of, and then there'll be player reports on what happened to them after they left Spurs. Bit of about the history of Spurs during wartime, which is quite interesting. What happened to White Hart Lane, and how we were forced to share the ground with the other lot down the road, which is shocking. But anyway, that'll be coming out fairly soon now, so we're looking forward to that.
But no, so am I. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I can't wait for it as well, my man. So look, I can't wait to get it out. And look, I can't wait to listen into all the stories and everything you have to tell us. It's definitely going to be great, for older fans, but even younger fans, just to get the history, get more involved, like more attached to the club, find out some of these amazing stories behind the football club as well. So I definitely cannot wait for it. Jack, my man, moving on to yourself. Score prediction, and where can people find you?
2-1 sounds absolutely nice. But Dave, just so that, can maybe just make the fans even more kind of on the edge, on the fence about everything, I'm going to go for a 1-0, just to make fans go for 1-0. Who's going to be my goal scorer? I'm going to say it's going to be a Harry Kane penalty. I think it might be someone like Azpilicueta, or maybe even Rudiger. I actually do really rate as a defender. I don't think he would give it away. But might be someone like Azpilicueta or like a Marcus Alonso or Jorginho or something, gives away a penalty, and then Harry Kane just tucks it away bottom corner, sends the keeper the wrong way, and we just hold out for a 1-0. I say we even score that goal in the first half as well, just to upset fans even more, and we just hold on to it for the rest of the game, and then we just absolutely ride it.
That would upset them even more.
Definitely, Philip. So that's what I'm going to go with, just because, like I said, even on Weird Time TV, for me, 1-0 is always delicious. It's absolutely what I love. It's just it's the right, kind of a message to a team like Chelsea too, just to win in that type of fashion at home. It just sends them the sick kind of feeling, it gives us that good feeling. At least me, it does. And so, yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Harry Kane penalty. And David, they can find me on over at the Flat Cap Euro Talk, of course, especially, to any Chelsea fans that might be watching this one. If you need maybe a bit of a neutral ground away from us Spurs fans that are so toxic at the moment with our delusional positivity, I would say head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk just for a bit of maybe, I would say, a bit more reasonable, kind of informative, stuff going on as well. David and I have two very interesting shows coming out. One of them being our Sheriff FC Explained story. Of course, maybe you've seen, in articles and whatnot of maybe where Sheriff FC have come from, how they've gotten to this stage, that Moldovan side. But David and I are very much informing ourselves on it, and we'd like to explain to you guys maybe that Champions League Cinderella story, I might say, for the Moldovans. And then as well, Gogama and plenty of others want me to maybe come out with a few scout reports on players that we've been interested in, maybe in the summer, like Kim Min-jae. Kim Min-jae scout report will be coming out very soon, but plenty of stuff on Flat Cap Euro Talk, especially Champions League action, all types of things in Europe's top 5 leagues coming out. And also somebody from Paxton Road, who I absolutely depend on and rely on for expert analysis. Darius, if you do know him, he is also on that channel plenty often, just so he can maybe provide that bit of expertise that is desperately needed on that channel. So really, everybody, especially maybe Chelsea fans that just need that, maybe neutral ground for something, I would head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk.
No, 100%. So there you are, guys. Philip on Twitter, Paxton Road TV, Flat Cap Euro Talk. Make sure you do check out Flat Cap Euro Talk, especially if it is a bad result this week and you're sick of Chelsea and Arsenal fans. Get over to the Flat Cap Euro Talk for some light European football relief, and it will be your therapy this week. So big up, everybody. Dark Sun G says a revenge 1-0 penalty would be poetic. It really would be. It'd be poetry in motion. Music to my ears. What more do we want, Dark Sun G?
I want the most boring game possible, Dave. I want the most boring game possible. No shots on target, no touches in the box for either striker, just a penalty for Harry Kane.
Just win the game, please.
No, look, 100%. But look, Dark Sun G, really, really appreciate the support, my man. You're a top man. You're so kind to the channel, and I really do appreciate it. I would love to get you on a fan show or one of the shows one day, maybe, if you could get in contact with me. But look, I hope to see you back here for the watch along tomorrow. But guys, there we have it. I have to say it's been a very, very good panel, a great panel. I have to say, I actually think this is probably one of my favorite, if not the favorite show I've done since I started this whole YouTube thing. Really, really enjoyed the panel and the answers today. Great comments. Someone was saying earlier on, it's a great polished panel with great views. What more of a compliment do you want? But guys, look, make sure you do get back here tomorrow for the watch along, starting at 4:20 p.m. Come in and enjoy the game with us. Turn off Fraud Sports. If you don't want to hear Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville's pitchy, mank and scouse voices, tune in and hear mine and Jack's lovely deep voices. That's what we want. So don't tune into Fraud Sports. Tune into the Irish Hotspur Sports. That's what I say. As well, if you want to join me over on the pre-match pump-up tomorrow, just come on, give a few lines of a pump-up, give your thoughts on the game, and, any excuse to shout, come on, you Spurs. Join me on the pre-match pump-up at 3 p.m. tomorrow on We Are Tottenham TV. So, look, until tomorrow, at the end of the day, it's only Chelsea, guys. Like I said before, I know a lot of people are scared going into this game, but I'm going to end you on one of my favourite quotes in this whole wide world. And that is, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. Come on, you Spurs. In Nuno we trust. For me, I'm going 1-0.
Nuno we trust.
A massive thank you to you, the Harris Army, as well, actually, for tuning in and your support, watching, liking, subscribing to the channels, liking the videos. Get your comments in below. Let us know your thoughts. And see you tomorrow.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.